high stakes, no safety net, no safe space. Let's talk about crash and burn, gotta learn to learn from your mistakes. Red line and no silver line, lost count of sleepless nights. Took it off the air, how will I prevail? Can't seem to get shit right. Conversation with the star player, looking in the mirror, looking crazy. You fumbled the ball, them turnovers cost, and you been paying for it daily. Chasing the money elusive, women you fucking wanna be exclusive. You were just coming through on some cool shit, now she really ready trying to do shit. Clocks don't stop ticking, so many obstacles on this mission. Being patient and racing time, at the same time start to get sickening. Pockets feeling super light, the burden get heavy every day and night. Knowing the phase, the birth of success, embracing that fact is part of the play. Because and kept it real, said it get rough around that corner. The proof of something you can feel every time the darkness was upon us. The message get lost in the madness, gotta break a few bad habits. Got a clear view of what's happening, you got the plan to put it in action. Everything you ever needed, gold miners on the inside. Take a look deeper, slow climbs in showtime. Everything you've been dreaming is reality on the other side. Just push through a few demons, it's a cold ride but the soul survive. Everything you ever needed, gold miners on the inside. Take a look deeper, slow climbs in showtime. Everything you've been dreaming is reality on the other side. Just push through a few demons, it's a cold ride but the soul survive. Now it's down to the business, alone in the room, no room for feelings. Foundations of what you've been building, put you in position to make you a killer. Stay cold-blooded like a villain when making decisions, they get what you give them. Not a politician, but you politicking and you campaign like a winner. Saints gon' turn to sinners if they can't afford their dinner. So you keep up your antennas, scan their frequencies and spin them. Play your hand aggressive, poker face, they feel the pressure. Your hunger they can't measure, raise the stakes another level. Quarantine with a money scheme and the balls to get up and get it. The market's down and it's wolves around, still manage to make sense of it. Tunnel vision on the path, build up a stash, keep foot on the gas. Go as far as you can go, then a little more, nothing is holding you back. Crack that code and then reach back. Grab your brothers, we a pack. Yeah, we struggle through the troubles, but the trunk remain intact. Every victory is a blessing, players unconcerned with stats. See, the dream is to get a ring for the home team, and that's a fact. Everything you ever needed, gold miners on the inside. Take a look deeper, slow climbs in showtime. Everything you've been dreaming is reality on the other side. Just push through a few demons, it's a cold ride but the soul survive. Everything you ever needed, gold miners on the inside. Take a look deeper, slow climbs in showtime. Everything you've been dreaming is reality on the other side. Just push through a few demons, it's a cold ride but the soul survive.
They wanna tell us that they made us, stripped away our culture and enslaved us. We survived through the worst time, and they did their best to break us. We played a game, but the game rigged. Now we woke and got our own shit. Everything was all good when we was worthless. Now they mad cause I got a God complex. I got a God complex. Now they mad cause I got a God complex. It was all good when we was worthless. Now they mad cause I got a God complex. A born deity, swag of a king, extension of the most high, getting this bag for the team. Hover above all, they want me to have humility. Them same folks out here trying to suppress my ability. Spit divine words that manifest in the physical. So when I say I am money, homie, it be spiritual. Get it in this lifetime and shine in the next one. Never let nobody make you feel guilty about your blessing. Yes, I got a God complex. Now they mad cause I got a God complex. It was all good when we was worthless. Now they mad cause I got a God complex. I got a God complex. Now they mad cause I got a God complex. It was all good when we was worthless. Now they mad cause I got a God complex.
See, I am the eternal sun walking the earth. Not a man, but I am that God that gave him birth. See, my womb is the gateway I bleed. Every month for Ashe, I'll be damned if you tell me what I am worth. Supreme being is mother, oracle and see. It's time to go to the Egon and ask the spirits and leaders. Medicine woman, our world is really sick and need healing. So now we welcome the divine in our spirit. Ashe.
I got a God complex. Now they mad cause I got a God complex. It was all good when we was worthless. Now they mad cause I got a God complex.
Melanated, they make it so complicated, and now we separated cause they tell us we're minorities. But we the Haitians, Jamaicans, even some Latins and Asians, some Cubans and Mexicans, we are majority.
Yeah, they call us witches cause magic is what we conjuring. Took it, turn our words into spells, and now we under it. Some won't acknowledge our power till the apocalypse. Unleash it on the world and send them packing on rocket ships.
Yeah, heart of a lion, land of the dead and dying. My bag is about that garden, my swag about ancient knowledge and tapping into them. Message from a pendulum, ancestors saying that it's time for the world to see it.
See, they wanna be it. We got the sands of time. Our DNA filled with to medicate the mind. We demonstrate divine powers that can open portals. They fear us cause ye are gods amongst mere mortals. They wanna tell us that they made us, stripped away our culture and enslaved us. We survived through the worst time, and they did their best to break us. We played a game, but the game rigged. Now we woke and got a whole shit. Everything was all good when we was worthless. Now they mad cause I got a God complex. I got a God complex. Now they mad cause I got a God complex. It was all good when we was worthless. Now they mad cause I got a God complex. I got a God complex. Now they mad cause I got a God complex. It was all good when we was worthless. Now they mad cause I got a God complex.
Deixa eu lá, vai falar. Brother.
Learn to cloud surf while never leaving Earth. 10 toes firmly planted in the dirt for what it's worth. See my life flash before my eyes a couple times, so I'd be lying if I said I don't believe in the divine. For reasons we can't find, the truth will probably blow our minds. This energy in the universe send chills down your spine. Had a talk with a goddess about human design. Pull my coat to how I need to get my chakras aligned. Gotta break some bad habits, it's addition by subtraction. Move away from bad actors trying to leech off your action. It's the laws of attraction, gotta see it before it happens. Gotta believe it with a passion, then receive this beautiful madness. Find a pattern in the chaos, their assessment was way off. You build it from the ground up, you own it, so ain't no layoffs. Your energy is equity, cashing on your day off. Hope to reach a couple souls, it's all a part of the payoff. Learn to cloud surf while never leaving Earth. 10 toes firmly planted in the dirt for what it's worth. See my life flash before my eyes a couple times, so I'd be lying if I said I don't believe. For reasons we can't find, the truth will probably blow our minds.
I am intentional, I am the sun, I am original, I am the one.
Let's create a universe where the rings of Saturn I'm the sun, you the moon, and the light reflects. Complementing each other, that makes us just. Energy shared between us is so phenomenal. Astrological, thinking on the same thought pattern. Let's create a universe where the rings of Saturn. Our love goes deeper than the meanings, feelings, healings. Coasting on the wings of my eye, you're the air that I breathe. Goddess of my dreams, put you on a pedestal, place the one above you. Got you going in circles, showing my love Jones. Putting me in a zone, making this house a home. A long way to take for you to realize. Open up your third eye. Enoch is just God in the physical. Queen, I'm just a man. I need you to understand that I'm God in the physical. I'm the sun, you the moon, and the light reflects.
I am intentional. I am the sun. I am
Peace,
original.
peace.
I am the
Oh,
one.
okay. That was the remix. All right. You know how we do here. Well, always some magical shit going on over here. Okay, you guys. I promise you, I don't know what's going on. I think we kind of looped it there. We wanted y'all to see it twice. It was so nice, got to see it twice. All right. Hello, peace and blessings, Star Seeds. Welcome to Pronoia Star Seed Podcast. If you're new to the building, thank you for being here. This is a wonderful Sunday that, you know what, last season, this would be considered Soulmate Sunday. But I mean, in a way, it is still Soulmate Sunday, but it's a little different type of soul. It's the Sun Chaser Sunday. So tonight is a very special Sunday. This is our first official Sun Chaser show with Peri. And we'll be bringing him onto the stage. So if you didn't see earlier, Peri is our official Sun Chaser. And what does that mean, y'all? We're going to explain it real quick, but I'm going to bring him to the stage before I get started. So without further ado, Peri.
Good God.
Hey,
What's happening?
how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm good. I
Good,
told you,
good.
you look like you aging backwards. What's going on? Give me some of that.
Yeah.
Where is that fountain of youth? Oh my gosh.
Yep, that hard work pays off.
I see, man. I need some of that right there. It's good
Yeah.
to see you.
Good to see you as well. It's cool.
Yeah, so this is our first official show with you as the Sun Chaser. I had to
Yeah.
say, like, you all over the place. You're always where the sun is. So tell us where you have been since the last season and what you up to.
I am in Sedona at the moment, Arizona. Spent quite a bit of time in California before I came here in San Diego. Like you said, chasing the sun, and did into Baja, Mexico for a little while, which was actually my first time being out of the state. So that was like, putting my toe in the water for a little bit, and then try to go further down into Mexico next time. But Mexico is absolutely amazing.
Wow.
The sun definitely hits
Yeah.
better down there. Huh?
How long were you in Mexico?
I was there for about 10 days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then came back to Cali for a little bit, and then Mama called me home to Sedona. So you there?
And that's
Okay.
So how long? So where are you going next?
I'm getting ready to head to Joshua Tree next week and camp out some out there. It's very beautiful out there in California. I've only drove past Joshua Tree a few times, but never got to stay. But I actually get to stay this time and hang out and camp, so I'm looking forward to it.
That's dope. And I had never heard of that part of California. Where is it? Is it near any of the major places in Cali?
I just know that it's on my way from Sedona to San Diego. So it's been in between San Diego and Cali. It's probably a few hours right before you get to Cali. I'm not sure exactly where it's at, but I just know how to get there.
I know that's right. Can you explain to those who have probably not joined us before, but why it's so important, or why it is that you follow the sun, and what it means to be like a child of the sun?
What it means to be a child of the sun first is because we're melanated, and we derive our information, derive life, derive everything we are from the sun, being that it's the energy that gives all of life. And as children of the sun, there's a cycle that goes along with the sun, and that's how we get into the astrologies and things like that. But there's a rhythmic beat to the universe, and the
Hmm.
sun is the drummer. And so everything revolves around the sun. And so knowing that, and then coming into knowing who I am and how our bodies operate and who we are as a people, um, I started to figure out that because we are rhythmic people, that even in the ancient times, we were known to be nomadic, and we moved from place to place, and we never stayed in places when it got cold, because melanin and cold, you know what I'm saying? And whenever the sun isn't present, obviously food doesn't grow. Winter is literally hell. I'll just say that. It's just, it's hard to live in the wintertime, but the construct or the system we live in have made it possible for us to do things that are unnatural by the conveniences of these homes that we stay in for numbers and numbers and numbers of years. And as a people, we're not supposed to be stagnant. We're supposed to be moving. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with settling, but as a people and how we used to do things, and that's where we're going back to, is that ancient way. We
Hmm.
moved just like nature. Whenever the birds fly south during the winter, you know what I'm saying. So they trying to get to that sun too. So being that my name is Peri, my name actually derives from a falcon called the peregrine, which is actually the face or the bird of Horus, which is also the sun.
Yeah,
So a lot of things in my life point to my specific story as being the sun, because it just follows me everywhere as I follow it. So um, yeah, the sun is just the source of all creation. And I think more that we talk, we'll get into that, because a lot of things that we've been taught have been false, as we've all know, and we're coming to that truth and that knowledge. And basically, the knowledge of self is the most important thing that we could ever have, and that was removed from us. And so, as we get to have these chats and build together, we're able to get back to who we were as a people, and know what our culture was, so we can get back in tune with nature. Because when we're not in tune with nature, or what we would call the great mother, then things get a little harder for us. So we're finding our way back to mama. And as we do that, we'll get back to being natural and stop being artificial in this artificial system.
absolutely. I agree. I believe that, we're all transitioning and waking up at different times. I was talking to a friend of mine about, the fact that this awakening started, and then, the pandemic happened around the same time. And it was just like, to me, it was so not coincidental, because it was so much focus on people starting to like meditate and go into self. And then all of a sudden it was like lockdown, and everybody went into panic, and everything started going like, crazy. And
Mm-hmm.
now we're back to, I guess, people starting to live more of back to normal. And I'm starting to again see people starting to reach back into self. I've seen a lot of distractions, people will call them lately, and I don't know if you've seen. I know I don't watch a lot of news. I know you probably
Mm-hmm.
don't at all, but I
No.
know that there was some crazy things going on, and far as I guess like sightings or UFOs or something
Mm-hmm.
recently. Um, what are your thoughts on that type of thing, like the UFOs or any returning of any type of ancestors?
Right. First off, I believe the distractions are just that, distractions, but also within those distractions, there are truths. because they have to get our consent to do certain things. So they use the media to be able to gain that consent by secretly telling us things through organized and structured. Well, they create the issue, right? They create the issue, and then they'll have the fix ready for us whenever we take, we're not going to take the bait, but that's how it's worked thus far. Yes. And so with the media, I don't pay attention to it, because once you tap into self, you really don't have to worry about too much. Mm-hmm. But I will say that the way to kind of decode some of these things that they're putting out there is really like I always stress, etymology and knowing what words mean, because that's how they communicate. They communicate through signs, symbols, and the words. And because we've been given this English language, the English language is basically like a spelling language, which is why we spell. And yes. So done is the etymology of words, or the fact of words, before they got changed to what they were, to what they are now. And so they bank on us not knowing what that is, just like in anything, they everything's set up under the assumption that we do know, but we don't know, because like they always say, if you want to hide something from somebody melanated, what do?
Put it in a book.
Yeah. Or you use words, because what happens is we were the creators of those signs, symbols, and things, that the mysticisms and the occult knowledge and the esoteric, those were all our knowledge. That was all of our knowledge. And they separated us from our knowledge through what I call eugenics, or types of genocides, where they purposely mislabel us to take us away from the land that we're on, to make us think that we're from somewhere else. And I'm not saying that everything didn't stem from Africa, but as far as the story that we were told, that there were also people here in America, people the same, that looked just like you and I, that were here before anybody came. And to separate us from this land, usually what they do is go about 4 generations out. They try to nip it in the bud with, trying to do the population, the depopulation agenda and all those things. They've been doing these things for a really, really, really long time, and with these resets and everything. And so as they pulled us away from who we were as a people and our culture, we kind of lost who we are, you know what I mean? And so now that we're starting to come into this abundance of knowledge, I'm seeing every single day more and more and more, people in general, but especially melanated people, starting to know who they are, where, we were always told who we were under the false guise of his story. Mm-hmm. But as far as the UFOs, the extraterrestrials, I do think that there are interdimensional beings. Mm-hmm. I am privy to space being not so much always in the sky, but in the water, because we come from the water. And if anybody ever studied the Moors not only means, dark skin, but it also means a place where a ship harbors, or it has to do with water, because we come from the womb, we come from the waters. Mm-hmm. And so everything is related to the waters and the mother. We even call it matter, being the material substances. Matter is from the word mater, which is also mother, or also we call it the matrix, and all the matrix is the womb. So we live in a matriarchal nature is a matriarchal kingdom, but they have turned it into a patriarchy, where they've separated us from our mother. And when you separate from your mother, then you kind of lose your identity, because you are who your mother is. Everything is passed. Mm-hmm. The lineages are passed down through the mother, not the male. And if you go study yourself, that's part of knowledge of self, how your body works, how the woman's body works. And men out there, you need to know how a women's body works, because you come from a woman. And whether you want to believe it or not, you can go look it up. But we all start out as female.
We got boobies for a reason. All I'm saying.
Yep. So we are female for the first, I can't remember exactly how long it is, but for a good amount of time, we're female within the womb. And then within a few weeks of the pregnancy, we become, the balls drop and the penis comes out. And basically those things are the ovaries and the clitoris. And so what happens is the women's organs, or the sexual organs, are within her, so they're hidden, right? And as man was designed by a woman, brought here by a woman, what happens is that we are more of a mortal type being, because everything is now on the outside and not on the inside. And that's why when people start saying, well, you got to get in touch with your divine feminine and things like that, we're going back to who we were. You remember when we were talking earlier, I said, in order to inherit the kingdom, one has to become a child again, right? Because a child depends on the mother, and that's what the mother wants us to do. She wants to provide for us, but we've allowed, or I wouldn't say we've allowed, but there's certain things that's happened in history that got us to the point where we are now, where we have now separated ourselves from the mother with help from, settlers and colonizers, or, who were told that came over here to enslave the people in the Americas, being both North and South America. And so when we talk about, the gods, or the so-called aliens and things like that, that's who we are as a people. We come from up there, but we also have star family, right? But I believe that they can manifest themselves for us to see them, but I believe that they exist within our mind, right? Because the only way that we can experience this outer world is through the inside, right? The five senses. Just like virtual reality, the only way that you can take part in virtual reality is if you put the goggles on, right? Otherwise, you don't know what it's like there. So the five senses allows us to be able to experience this physical plane. And without those five senses, we would just be in darkness. We wouldn't be able to feel, smell, taste, see, or hear, right? And so because we're able to do those things, that's why they would always call this the illusion, because the senses can play tricks on you. And so one has to really be in touch with themselves in order to know what's illusion and what's real. And we know that everything outside of us is illusion, because it's projected from the inside. And so I believe that the way how we communicate with what we would call our star family, or, where we descended from, that we do that through meditation. And that's from going within and tapping in and reaching that little place called the pineal gland, the place of the soul, where the mother sits, which is the mother. And we all keep saying that because it's got to be known. Everybody has to know that. It is imperative that people know this, because scriptures that we get now in the Bible, although they have truths in there, they were written by the oppressor. They Greeked it out. The Romans and Greeks took everything we had and turned it around and made it theirs, because they don't have a history. They actually came from us. We created them, right? And we'll get into that another time. But I believe that the alien invasion that they're worried about the most is us here on the ground waking up. They're trying to keep us occupied from knowing who we are and going within. The more distractions there are, the more people aren't going to look within themselves for anything, because they're too busy with all the riffraff that's going out and all the stuff they've got everybody doing. And so that's why I think it's important to really start getting who we are as individuals, start doing what we're supposed to do with ourselves. And then that in turn opens up a whole lot of knowledge within us that we can then extend to other people once we do the work for ourselves. And, you know, we've always heard it, right? No, the only way to change anything is to change yourself,
Yep.
right? And that's the way it has to be, because everything happens on the smaller scale, or what they call the microcosm,
Yes.
that then creates the macrocosm, which is also what we call the law of correspondence as well. Is like,
Yes.
you know, everything is connected. And so as we start to heal our bodies through eating correctly, there is a specific species diet, or not diet, but eating lifestyle that we are supposed to be on as melanated people, right? We ain't supposed to be eating a lot of flesh. We ain't supposed to be eating a lot of acidity. There's a, I call it it's almost like the 90-10. They always tell you the 90-10, right? Like, you only use 10% of your brain, you know, or, you know, you got a certain pH balance, right? And so there's certain organs that have a certain pH level that are acidic, but there's also other organs that are alkaline. And so there has to be a pH balance between those things. You can't go too far alkaline, or you start getting into a lot of funguses and other things. And then you can't go too far acidic, or then you start getting into a lot of disease, a lot of organ issues and things like that. And so there's this balance in between what the pH balance is. And that comes through eating the right foods, which our species specific lifestyle is mainly fruits, because we run off of glucose, or what they call galactose, right? Which is called milk sugar. And that's kind of where you get the name galaxy, or the Milky Way, right? Because everything revolves around milk. And I'm not talking about cow's milk, I'm talking about breast milk. Because within that breast milk, there's certain hormones that interact with us through the mother to the child after childbirth. When the mother is breastfeeding the child, oxytocin is also known as the love hormone. It's how we experience the emotion of love, because these things that we call are just chemical properties within the body that allow us to feel these things, right? There's a reason why we feel these things, and it gets to the hormones and the chemicals that make up our feelings and emotions, right? Because emotions are just energy in motion. And so, being that a lot of us through childbirth were separated from our mother, not only through the implementation of birth certificates, where the mother signs over her child to the state by a birth certificate, they also start giving us formula and cow's milk. And so a lot of people are running around here with a lot of rejection issues, a lot of issues with being like loved. And even for myself, my mother was in my life my whole life, right? And she was a loving mother, went out of her way to give me everything. But even till this day, I'm still doing the hard work to work on that, the abandonment feeling, because I never got love, the true love from my mother, because I was actually put on formula. So I didn't even get to breastfeed. And so that's a vital thing for a child, because the immunity for the child lies within the breast milk of the mother. And not only that, being that the mother is the God, every child has more characteristics and DNA from the woman than they do the man. And the most important one of those things is the mitochondria. I don't know if you remember me telling you that when I did my 9-day dry fast, I did a meditation, and it was the first time that I actually had meditated and went to what we would call the void, or the astral realm, or I call it the womb, because basically that's what I feel like it is when I'm there, is the womb. And I'm there with the mother, and I actually heard her voice audibly. When I used to hear about people hearing things audibly, it would always kind of be like, you know, I don't know about that, blah, blah, blah. But I actually got to experience it for myself. So I no longer, really think like that. But what she told me is she only said like a few words, and she sounded very incredibly compassionate and loving, but her voice had a certain authority to it. You know what I mean? Where what she said, even though it wasn't a lot, was very powerful. And it wasn't in a speaking way. It was more of a telepathic way, because as a mother, and a child, before a child can talk, I know they're telepathic, but
Absolutely.
they know how to, the communication between mother and child is telepathic. And that was the one language that we all had, was telepathy, before what they call the Tower of Babel, which Babel just means to blah, blah, blah. We started to speak. And then that's where we all started to separate and, do all this separation stuff instead of being one. And so as we progress from being a child to an adult, what we're doing is we're going backwards. We're being degraded, and we're getting pushed away from our mother, not only physically, but also spiritually. And we lose that contact until we start going back within ourselves to contact our mother. But back on the mitochondria, you might have saw some of the stories I posted within the last couple of days. And what the mother told me when I was in that meditation is that she said the mother always saves the breath for the child, right? And at the time, I didn't have a full understanding of what that actually meant until yesterday. Or actually, it was today. No, it was today. Until today. And so I understood the concept of the mother breathing for the child while it's in the womb, right? The mother breathes for the child, it feeds the child. I mean, it's building the child. All these things are happening. Well, the mother still breathes for the child even after childbirth and even into adulthood through the mitochondria, because the mitochondria is part of the process of being able to breathe, respiration. Right? And then we
Wow.
get into the name Eve, right? Hava, right? Or Hawa, which is also the name of God at its root. And Hawa or Hava or Eve is that who gives life through breath. Right. And so when that hit
Yeah.
me, I was like, wow, like not only was she telling me that I was taken care of in my mother's womb, but as we of our mother's womb, the great mother takes care of us, because through our mothers, our ancestors are passed to us, because our ancestors are within us, and it comes through way of the mother. And so if we breathe today, it is because of that mitochondria that comes from the mother. So the reason that everybody on this live right here is breathing is because of your mother. And what this system has done has gotten you to bite the hands that bites to bite the hand that feeds you, and then rely on the government for security and protection instead of nature or your mother for security or protection. And so as they've done, we've grown further and further away from who we are. And as they push on this patriarchy, which is a very toxic patriarchy, and I'm not even like trying to like down men or anything, because we do play a part in this, because women did create us and put us in this place for a reason. And that's to be the protector of the God. Women are very intelligent. They know how to.
I got to keep some of these, But it's some real shit. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. I just got. Okay.
No, it's all good. It's claps. They need to clap, but
yeah.
But as we move back into this matriarchy, we're going to find out that a lot of the things that we're clamoring for, chasing the bag, Jordans, all these different things are literally perpetuating our enslavement. Until we're able to get rid of those attachments and surrender back to nature, to the mother, and go back to the womb, to where we don't have to desire anything, because she takes care of us. Fruit grows on trees. When you go to the grocery store and get a red pepper, right? They're trying to take the seeds out of everything now anyway. But when you get one red pepper, there's literally 50 to 100 more seeds in there that can create even more red peppers. But as we've been drawn away from mother and rely on our government, right? Now we go to the store and get a green pepper, and we throw the seeds out in the trash can, eat it, and then go back and buy another red or green pepper.
Yeah,
that's insanity, right? And so the reason they're allowed to do this is because the things that they make appealing are mostly appealing to us, right? Whether it be music that we create that actually is destroying us because the agenda is for us to hate ourselves, right?
Yes.
And because we're not a violent people. The very essence of melanin is empathy and compassion,
Yep.
right? That comes from the female, right? And that comes through also what's called the oxytocin, right? And the colostrum, right? And
Mhm.
so that's why when people start getting back to eating correctly, and stop getting on the flesh and start eating things that are living, one becomes more empathic, very compassionate, and they become more aware, right? Whereas when you're eating death, it's just rotting and decaying you. And meat or flesh itself, or the blood of flesh, actually is a direct enemy of melanin, which is the vital source of all life. Without melanin, life would cease to exist. Not only just, we talk about skin color, but melanin is more than just skin color. The brown of our skin is only the byproduct of no, of the melanin that was within us, which is also tyrosine, or it's also neuromelanin, right?
Right.
And so as we start learning these different things and knowing who we are, it empowers us and it gives us confidence, and it gets us to stop hating each other, but start looking to each other as brothers and sisters, because we are all come from the same source. And then we start working together, start connecting together, because we are the technology that runs this whole thing. Without us, they can't do this, because without us, they can't tap into the mother. So they do these rituals and things with our people, our music. I'm not trying to take anything away from unmelanated people, but it's time to talk about us. I don't know how many times I've ever been in church, or where I grew up was a lot of, there wasn't a lot of melanated people. But when I grew up, I was told my dark skin was a curse,
Yep.
and that I was going to go to hell because my dark skin. And now that the truth come out about what the truth actually is, and I share my truth in love, not hate, because you don't have to hate. The truth not will only set you free, but it also allows you to love correctly in truth, in that people get mad that you tell the truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
But within that truth is a seed that will sprout and open the mind. And when you
Yep.
open that mind and start tapping into self, then you can start tapping into other things outside of yourself, like each other, where we should be communicating with each other telepathically. Melanin communicates communicates with each other. As we have the melanin is in microchips and technology, and it connects everything, because it's nature, and nature from the word nature, which is the net, just like the internet, right?
Right.
Nature connects all things. And so as they try to push us away from nature and get us into this static world, which the metaverse is coming right up, and people are playing right into it,
Right into it.
right into it.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to down all the cryptocurrencies and everything, but these are all tools us off of knowing that we can create anything we want for free. If I know one thing, melanated people love free stuff. You know why? Because it's our birthright. We
That's
love
right.
free stuff because it's our birthright. But they've told us that free has no value,
Right.
right?
Yep.
If you give away something for free, most people don't put any value on it, right?
Yep. So
And
I'm gonna go
so,
through the comments real quick. We got a couple going on. Danielle asks, "Is it best to have a neutral eating lifestyle?" And I think she was asking that question when we were talking about acidic and alkaline.
right. Well, first, you have to know what the correct eating lifestyle is for yourself first, by knowledge. That's how I found out, through knowledge of self and how the body works. The reason I say that flesh isn't a part of that is because the body doesn't run off protein. It runs off of sugars, but it's simple sugars like fruit sugars, glucose. Our bodies are glucose machines. When you look up what the liver does, it literally processes glucose, right? And so when we start eating flesh, what happens is it puts us in bondage. Flesh putrefies in the stomach. The body really doesn't know what to do with flesh, and protein actually feeds cancer. And so that's why cancer is so prevalent. And not only is cancer prevalent, but flesh is also a class 1 carcinogen. So each time, even if you ate meat raw, it's a carcinogen. But as soon as that meat touches heat, it becomes even more carcinogenic through something called the this is going to lead me now. The Maillard effect. Starts with the M. The Maillard effect. But it's the browning process of food. But anytime you can go ask a doctor this, even in Western medicine, whenever you add fire to food, not only does it destroy the food, but it causes this browning or this crisping. And within those crispy pieces, there's more carcinogenic properties, which then attack the cells in the body to create cancer. Right. And so that's why melanated people are at the top of every list in the Eurocentric Western medicine charts, because our numbers differ from them. Right. It's not that we can't coexist. It's that we are different species. I was talking to somebody last year in Sedona, and he was an unmelanated guy. And I was explaining the same thing I am right here. And as I was explaining it, he was getting a little triggered, which I'm always okay with, because when things come out that people aren't used to hearing, or it's something foreign to them or new information, cognitive dissonance comes in and forms a trigger, and they attack you. And so as he's getting triggered, as we're sitting out there, it's dead middle of summer, and this guy is pasty. And as I'm talking to him, he's more and more intrigued. And the more we talked, the more the sun got hotter and hotter. Granted, I'm out there with my shirt off, no shoes on, shorts on, hanging out. And as we're talking, I can see that he's getting redder and redder and redder. And he stopped me and he said, "Brother, I'm not going to lie. When you started talking to me, I was getting triggered, because we've been taught that that's racism, but it's not. It's just nature, right?" And he's like, "The reason why I know that you're telling the truth right now is because the sun is burning my ass up right now, and I can't take it." And he said, "I see you out here and you're just chilling. It's not messing with you." And he said, "I want to sit here and talk to you for another hour, but I know that I have to go in the shade, and I can't ask you to go in the shade with me because I know that's not where you belong." And I was like, there you go.
There you go.
Nature. Always look to nature. It's not about not being able to coexist. It's not about being racist, because racism only showed up when supremacy started showing up. When we were taken off of our land, we're not even taken off of it. We're still here, but we were told that we came from somewhere else. So what people have to realize is the knowledge that I talk about when we talk about unmelanated and melanated, is that I'm talking about a specific species type, right? Even in nature, there's types. There's different types of lions. There's still lions, right? But one lion lives in Africa, and the other one might live, somewhere off further up north, that can only survive in the winter, right?
Yeah.
They're still lions, but they're different species, right? So they can't say they're the same, because if the lion from Africa goes to the colder climate, guess what happens to that lion? It dies. So let's get back to who we are, because we've been told that we're something else, and we're eating the diet of the people that colonized us. That's why we're so sick. Now, everybody that hears the sound of my voice knows without a shadow of a doubt, when they look at those numbers, when it comes to high blood pressure, heart disease, colon cancer, who's at the top of the list every time?
Us.
Coincidence?
No such thing.
All right. So a natural diet or a neutral diet does not exist within the system that we've been raised under. And that's why I say people have to have knowledge of self. Most people don't even know how their own body works. They only go to the doctor. They go to the doctor, and the doctor tells them not even how their body works, but what they should do. And doctors aren't trained under nutrition. They're trained under triage and how to give people's asses some pharmakia that's going to kill them. Chemical pharmakia kills melanin. The attack is on melanin. This ain't about hate. This ain't about hate. This is about a survival. And we shouldn't even be surviving. We should be thriving. But we're in a construct that makes us survive, right? That traps us in that left mind, the left part of the brain, which is considered the masculine, which is the rational and the logic. Well, they say, like I said, they only say people that use 10% of their brain. That is that of the masculine part of the brain. And then when you tap into the divine, which is the 90%, it's the creative, it's the loving, right? It's the artistic.
Yep.
When you tap into that, this is what we see happening right now amongst all people, but especially in the melanated population, because the melanated population are the ones that's been picked on the whole time. And I'm saying picked on because I'm trying to be kind. Because it was more than just picking on.
Yeah,
it
for
was
sure.
rape. It was countless lies about who we are, where we came from. And if you look it up, I think his name is John Plecker. I'll send you the link to it. But there was a doctor by the name of Dr. Plecker back in the day who basically separated people by color. And that's why when you go get a job interview or anything like that, you got to mark black, white, or other, right? Not only are black and white legal terms for being legally dead, which is black, or white being free, right? But black and white are literally the same word.
Blanco.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or bale, which means pale. When I see the shine off of when I see the light shining off of your melanin, guess what it looks like? Shiny, white, right? If I put light to when you're out in the sun and it reflects off of you, it reflects light, right?
Yeah.
And so this is why it's important to have knowledge of self, because when one has knowledge of self, gets back into nature, what I'm talking about doesn't have to do with hate. It has to do with how we live as a species.
Mm-hmm.
Being that unmelanated people are one species and we're another. Doesn't mean that we can't coexist, but the issue is with being the coexisting thing is that they actually operate the opposite we do. If you go back into Bobby Hemmett's teachings, and even Aleister Crowley, they call themselves children of the moon. Because the moon is, and this is going to hurt a lot of people, and I'm sorry, but
Here you go.
That's what it is.
It might hurt me too, because here we go.
Yeah. So the moon isn't the mother, the sun is. I've got books that date back 1800s that say and show that even before the 1800s, back in Kemet, right, that the mother or the Eye of Horus is the female deity. It's the portal. Where do we come from? If we're children of the sun, who births us through the portal?
The mother.
And when
the eye is like the right side, right? Isn't that like the right side of the brain, which is the female?
Right. When you take that eye and flip it this way, what does that look like?
A vagina.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the eye. Right?
Oh, wow.
Is that why they do that? Is this why they do
that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You remember that sign?
Mm-hmm.
So this is what happens. They indoctrinate us as soon as we're born. Within the first 7 years of a child's life is the programming life. That's where the subconscious gets programmed. Anything after that, the child only believes whatever it's been programmed in it within the first 7 years. So anything that goes against that programming causes a disruption, which is called cognitive dissonance, which results in triggers. because we think we know the truth, but the truth that we given was a lie.
Right. Yep.
And so this is all I have to say.
For sure.
Right. And so this is all I have to say is that the moon is a device that was towed here. I know it sounds crazy, but if you read your own books and you understand the older types of scripts and writings, that they say that the moon was towed here by the ones that came to take over our souls, right? When we talk about spirit and soul being that one, that the one of light, the pineal gland is that of a light receptor, right? It's the what we call the circadian rhythm. When the sun comes up, right, serotonin starts to pump and we wake up. Oh, when the sun goes down, the light goes out because the pineal gland only opens in darkness. Remember, light is only present in darkness.
Yes.
So when these eyes close, to the illusion, this opens, right? And that's why we have rhythm. It has to do with the sun. That's why they say we got soul. We got soul. We move a different way. And this is why I know that we're different, because we're on two rhythmic patterns. If melanin or melatonin, which are both one and the same, if melatonin manifests itself as created by the pineal gland, then ones that are unmelanated, that don't have this melanin, right, that's created in the pineal, if something doesn't have melanin, then what does it mean is not functioning within the body? The pineal gland.
Right.
There's been I've heard it on Fox News. Where they admitted that unmelanated people have at least 80% calcification of their pineal gland. That's why they have different rhythm. Even I grew up around all white people. The assumption was I could dance, I could play sports, I could jump higher, I could run faster. What do people think gives us the ability to do that? Am I lying? Am I saying anything that nobody's ever said before?
You're not. You're absolutely not.
But because it comes from a melanated man, my own people won't listen to me. But if an unmelanated man come on TV tomorrow and said the same thing I was saying, they believe it, hook, line, and sinker.
With the quickness. With the quickness. I mean, I agree. I'm 1,000% with you, because as you know, like, again, I've been pushing out the mother reels, and man, when I say I get so many comments that are so, you can tell it's just such a heavy ego, shut the hell up and what the fuck are you talking about and all this. And I'm just sitting there like, I knew that. And when I was talking about it, and again, this is why a lot of people think that the truth was hidden, and everybody should be privy to the truth, but not everybody can take the truth. Not everybody knows how to even digest the truth. And I knew this year, like, it was like, I can't go soft. Like, when I first started with the mother thing, I was led to go softly into it, but this year I was told, like, go hard. They got to know. So when you said that, like, people have to know this. Like, this is almost like building a body or building a structure. You got to know where the pieces go. And for so long, you had the neck where the head go and the head where the neck go. That's why you all turned around and can't go the right way. And you got to accept that the head goes here and the neck goes here in order for us to start walking forward. And a lot of people just aren't ready for it. And I can tell you that I've had even conversations with people that were close to me, right? And they damn near get upset because I'm not even willing to digest anymore that, like, people are not ready for it, so we shouldn't talk about it. I don't give a shit. Neither does the universe. Neither does mother. Like, that's the Kali Ma energy. Is it doesn't really matter if people are ready for it or want it or whatever. It's coming,
Right.
and the energy is here. And I really like the way that you break it down. I did not know that about the moon, because I'm not gonna lie.
You
That
like the
moon,
moon?
I love the moon. The moon
Guess
has so
what?
many effects.
Guess what? This is what I was going to get to. The unmelanation, right? If we're children of the sun and they're children of the moon, right? And they actually are supposed to eat flesh because of their inability to access the light through their pineal gland. They have to get it from something that can. They got to get it through us. And they got to get it through an animal that harvest that light. And then they can take the energy from that animal to be able to survive. So they live off of our energy, right? Think about Dracula. When does Dracula come out at night?
At night.
What does Dracula eat?
Blood and people.
And why can't Dracula come out in the daytime?
That sun burn his ass up.
And why does the sun burn his ass again?
Because he ain't got no melanin.
Oh,
Hey, we got that.
that.
There you go. Follow the damn trail. They telling you right there in your face.
Yeah. And then they come out with a movie called Blade with Wesley Snipes in it, who is called a
daywalker. A daywalker, because he melanated and he can walk out.
Right. So he can walk around the day.
See?
So they see, but if one isn't tapped into who they are and what they are, they won't pick up on that. They'll take it as a story.
Right.
Same thing as the Bible. Same thing as all the literature. We're a metaphorical people. The music we make is metaphors. You don't think we wrote like that?
Right.
Back then, we hid our knowledge through words.
Yep.
And there's a process to get to knowledge, and that's cleaning out the body. It's what you put in your body. They attack us through our food. When we were on them plantations, when we were in them fields, they wasn't feeding us the right stuff. They were feeding us the crap. Starches, flesh, leftover carcass, whatever. Right?
Yep.
Because that's a part of colonization. And if you don't realize yet that the word colonization has the word colon in it. So if the belly is the second brain, and everything that the brain gets is from right here, because this is where everything happens, right? This is solar plexus. We're talking about the sun today, right?
Yep.
Today's Sunday, right? According to the Gregorian calendar anyway, right?
Right.
This is where creation happens. This is where the womb is of the woman. That's where all the magic. This thing right here only helps to operate things. But this right here is the runner of the show. There's a brain-gut connection. And what they've done is colonized our guts with parasites. And our parasites are what dictate how we act. And that's why when I share these truths, people trip out too, because I get them parasites upset. Because as soon as you clean that stomach out and start eating correctly, you'll start seeing the things that I'm saying. But for the people that can't see it, the blinders are on, because they're not doing the work. They're not cleaning out. They're still colonized with the inside. Remember, law of correspondence happens on different planes, not just on one plane.
Right.
You get colonized on the outside, you get colonized on the inside, and it has to happen on the inside first. You asked why am I aging backwards? It's because I'm eating correctly. Melanin is already a product of not aging, right?
Right.
How come all of the melanin people want to have lighter skin, but all the unmelanated people go to the tanning bed?
I have no idea.
And then they tell us we got big nose and big lips. Who goes to the doctor to go get bigger lips? While we're trying to get smaller lips, they're trying to get bigger butts and bigger lips. Am I telling the truth, or am I?
No,
you.
lying? The truth. There is no lie here.
So we got we got to start asking the questions.
Yep.
We got to ask what makes us different, because there is a difference. It doesn't mean we have to hate somebody. Doesn't mean that we're even better than anybody. It just means we are different.
Yes.
The mountain lion in Africa And the mountain lion, like I said, lion in, let's say, I don't know, somewhere up north, I guess, Alaska or whatever. I'm sure they got some lion up there, but there are lions that exist out in the, in colder climates or whatever. Like there's like snow leopards, and then you got the leopards that live like the black, like the panther and things like that.
Right.
But what people have to understand is racism isn't a thing. Supremacy is, but people got to know the difference between racism and supremacy. Supremacy is based off of one species destroying the other. Because we're natural to this plane, we naturally have the ability to live longer than they do. How many people say black don't crack?
Oh yeah. All the time.
Right.
Yep.
And so without melanation, you age quicker. And that's why typically unmelanated people age a lot faster. And they look that age that they are older than what they are. Right. And I'm not even saying that there's not melanated people out there that do, but usually those people are on all kinds of drugs.
Yeah, they didn't have hard knock life. Yeah.
Right. Because drugs, all pharmaceuticals kill melanin. That's the genocide. And going back to Dr. Plecker, what he did, because I'm a byproduct of this, I found out I wasn't from Africa through my own ancestry without taking a DNA test. All I had to do was ask my family questions. But when I asked them a question, they gave me answers because they were trying to find out who they were too. They might still be blind to a lot of things, but at least they're still trying to find out who they are and digging for the roots. But because they did that work, when I woke up to who I am, their work, it paid off for me because now I can understand it. Right. So my family came over. I'm not sure where they came from, that the slave master sent them from, because we actually have a letter from the slave master that freed my family and sent them to a place called Draper in Virginia. But Plecker started a lot of his experiments in what's called documentational genocide, where you can get rid of a whole bunch of people if you get them to claim that there's something that they're not. And then you can tell them a story that you killed them off, and then they would never know the difference. But if you go back, and especially people that are the older generation know that during this time, especially the civil rights and all that certain things, if you were dark, you were already considered either a criminal or a servant. And the lighter you were, the more you could get out of doing that. And there's a lot of light-skinned melanated people out there because we come in all colors, right? Copper comes in a lot of colors, right? And so my great-great-grandfather was Choctaw, right? He was light enough to pass for white. So he intermingled and married a white woman. Because during that time, to not do that meant you couldn't be free. Same thing's going on now. It just looks different. Right. How many athletes and musicians and out there are trying to get rid of their melanin, bleaching their skin, blonde hair, all these different things, right?
Right. Yep.
And so what Plecker did was gave through what we call census, right? What he did was change the format of how people identified themselves. They took away the word Indian, which ain't even really a word. It's something they made up, but we had tribes back then. We were known by our tribe, but now we're known as just the crayon color. That's an adjective. Black ain't a nationality. Neither is white. Right? So we don't even know where we come from. We think we all come from Africa when we came from everywhere. Even Europe. Guess who? The first Europeans were melanated. And you studied the Moors. If you never studied the Moors, go check them out. And you'll find out that we ruled Spain for a long time. We civilized the unmelanated. We created them. When two melanated people have a child, what color come out of those? all different types of colors.
Yep.
Even white. When we got albinos, right? When two unmelanated people come and have sex, what happens? Any other color come out of that?
Nope.
Nature, right? Observable nature, right? I don't need no textbook or no book to tell me that. But they couldn't genocide us out. And because our genes are so strong, when they went to go have sex with our women, the babies came out what color?
Dark.
Why is that? If our genes aren't dominant and we're the same, then how come their babies are coming out the same color we are? If their genes are dominant, shouldn't the babies be coming out unmelanated?
Yep.
All right. So
one or the other.
Exactly. So
right.
I speak logic. I don't speak hate.
Right.
I speak truth because I got receipts. I don't claim to know everything, but I know enough to help free my people and to free everybody, not just our people, because I mean, unmelanated people are here, but they need to know who they are too, because they've been lied to just as much as we have. That's why when we try to tell them who we are, they get triggered, because you know why? They took your place and now you're trying to take it back from them.
Yep.
The land that you're on right now is yours. It's your birthright. And they know it. There's unmelanated people that come on my page every day and tell me deep down inside they knew this. I'm not dumb. I know they know it. I grew up around them. I didn't have anybody that looked like me when I grew up. I have a lot of damage from that because my hair didn't move like theirs.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want me dating their daughters. I was the only melanated person in every class I was in. I couldn't date their daughters because I had dark skin. That's racism. And I'm not saying that there's not melanated people out there that are the same way. But at the same time, melanated people didn't put nobody in. Who's in bondage right now? Right? And so if our ancestors lived through us, we claim that we are our ancestors, right? Mm-hmm. And when unmelanated people say, well, we didn't do that. They didn't do it, but guess who's inside of them? Their ancestors.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely. Yep.
And I've got plenty of unmelanated friends that I talk to that look at me and understand this to the T and have always known it. But we live in a world where it's a white man's world, right? Do we say it? We all say it. So when we talk about this coexisting thing, right? Talking about the lions again. If we got a lion in the winter, in a place that's winter, and another lion that strives to be in the summer, if those try to coexist, one tries to go to the other place, one of them's got to die.
Yep.
Because it's not natural. The environment doesn't suit their genetics. So how come these two lions aren't coexisting? Huh? Can anybody answer that out there?
Right. Let us know.
How come they don't? How come when certain trees grow in the tropics and then you bring them over into another environment, they can't survive?
Flourish. No.
So if we're children of the sun, wouldn't it make sense that we'd be closer to the equator where the sun is the hottest? That's why I'm chasing the sun. I ain't crazy. I know who's the source of my being. And all those people that are getting mad at me or upset for me for showing the truth, I'll be standing right here when they see everything go down, and then be like, oh man, I should have listened. Because most of our people are caught up in Christianity. And even in Christianity, it says there's only going to be a remnant. There's only going to be a small amount of people that are going to get this. I get that. But the ones that I'm after are the ones that are doing the work and the ones that are loving themselves. I can't trust nobody that don't love themselves. Absolutely. I can't let nobody in my circle who doesn't love themselves, because if they don't have the love to eat correctly, to be well, not only in body, but in mind and spirit, I can't trust somebody who's willing to kill themselves to think that they're going to take care to help me out. I can't trust nobody that's willing to kill themselves, no matter what form of killing it is. Only people I trust are people that that love themselves. Because if they have the capacity to love themselves, I know they're going to have the capacity to love me. It even says it in the Bible, right?
Yep.
Love thy neighbor as
you love thyself.
But we ain't supposed to love ourselves, are we? That's selfish, ain't it? It's selfish. So we're playing the martyr here.
Yep.
While at the expense of our thriving, to not be in bondage. We shouldn't need money. You know why? Because everything's supposed to be free. Trees grow, like plants grow these things called veggies and fruits. And all you got to do is plant the seed and it grows for free. But they put you into a little system that they put you into a little job where you have to get this little money to pay for the things that used to be free. And if you go take that stuff that's supposed to be free, they call it what?
Stealing.
Yeah. Everybody always wonder why the people on the plantation never took the stuff that they picked. Never made sense to me. Y'all doing all the work. We still sharecropping.
Still.
Ain't nothing changed. Like somebody said, ain't nothing new under the sun.
Yeah, free is my favorite number
Right.
too.
And then we can get into the words we talk about the Moor, like the free Moor or the Freemasons, because the Masons they just stole the stuff from us, from the Moors, because they didn't have a history. And I'm not saying that to be mean, but it's facts. Go back and start reading not the Egyptian, but Kemet, because Egypt is a Eurocentric word. Kemet was the word that it used to, because Kemet means the black or the dark. That's where chemistry comes from. Guess what? I said everything revolves around melanin. And why are we having all this? Why does everything have to do with darkness or blackness? Even in the sperm, there's a black dot within that sperm that when it hits that egg, it creates light. And if thine eye be single, right? This is the same thing as down there, right? Then your whole body be full of light, right? So, with that being said, it's easy to understand. It is plain as day.
It's straight fact.
And there's no denying it because everybody knows it.
Yeah.
Because you can observe it. You ain't got to go to a book to get it. When they say you got that they can hide information from a melanated man because they can put it in a book, that's because the melanated man ain't aware of who he is.
Right.
He's been separated. What's going on here is called identity theft. That's one of the biggest problems we have today, right? Identity theft. Pretty convenient, right?
Yeah.
So when people hear me talk like this, I speak with love. Before, when I first learned this, I was full of anger. I was full of hate. But you know what that anger and hate did? It only hurt me. And then I realized that all I have to do is share the facts. All I got to do is share nature. And that took the hate all out of it, because there's no denying nature, because we are nature. And the things that I say, for the person that is halfway aware anyway, when it hits their senses, they won't question it.
Absolutely. It actually makes you want to the thing about it is, once it hits their senses, they're going to just go deeper. It just makes you want to go deeper if you, again, are willing to open up to it. And it's crazy because, like you said, it's right in our faces,
right?
And people will not accept what's right in their faces sometimes because, again, like you said, cognitive dissonance. Something.
Yep.
I feel like I already know this. Like I've built my whole life on this as my truth, right? And so, yeah, there's been nothing but facts. Nothing but facts. Nothing but
right.
Facts.
And you know what you know what the funny thing is that we talk about the sun, right? If something is on fire, right, at its core, after it goes out, what color is it?
Black.
Oh, okay. So Am I still being racist? Or am I just using nature or using our environment to explain what's evident? Because it all goes together, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
this is my thing, is that I have a melanated friends and I care for them deeply, right? But I don't hold back the truth, and they know it. And they probably know it better than I do because they hang around me all the time. And they went and look for themselves, and then you know what they do? They go, "Hey, hey, Perry," or they call me PJ. What can I do to be natural? What can I eat like you so I can grow my melanin? Because I say it grow melanin because the pineal gland can be decalcified. I mean, even melanated people have calcified pineal glands, not to the extent that they're not able to produce melanin, but enough to keep them within the ignorance that they're in. Because ignorance goes away when that thing gets decalcified, because that's what they're attacking through the food, through the medicine.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting us from the inside out. And the only way you can change it is from the inside out. And I challenge you, if you think I'm crazy, go and try it. The reason that I believe that I'm credible within my eyes, because I just don't know knowledge. Knowledge don't mean shit, just knowing shit. Knowledge put to action is where you get results. So all the things that I'm telling people are things that I am doing. People see me and they see it in me. When the first thing you said to me when you saw me was what?
Oh, I was like, I needed. You mean when I first met you? When
we first got on today, you said, "What are you aging backwards?"
I said, "You're aging backwards." I said, "You Benjamin Buttons."
Right. What is the goal of all of man? Immortality.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right? And the more that I share and the more that I do the work, I'm not just a talker. I do. Absolutely. And I don't talk until I do. Because I'm not ignorant. I'm not going to talk about something I don't know nothing about.
Right.
I might not get words right all the time. I might not say everything right, but at the foundation of everything I'm saying is all truth. And I can show it wherever it is. Mm-hmm. And the very thing that is vital within this life that they're taking away from us, that controls our whole body, that controls the whole intellect, is memory. The RAM, random access memory. You know, they call it the RAM of God. They call them the Lamb of God now, but it used to be the RAM.
That's right? My initials.
Right.
My initials are RAM. RAM.
Yep. And then RAM also in astrology is who? Aries.
Aries, the first sign.
Right. Mm-hmm. The head. Remember in the Bible it says you'll no longer be the head. I mean, you'll no longer be the tail, but the head. And
yes. Right.
The Bible is a biological book. It's an astrology book. It's a science book.
It's everything.
Holy Bible is the Helios Biblios, which is called the book of the sun.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it tells you how your body works on a biological level, on a metaphysical level. And it also tells you within the same stories how that ties in with the astrological part of it. Because the Magi that followed the star to go see Christ were astrologers. That we're told in the Christian church that that's evil. But we go to church on Sunday and we have these weeks named by the planets. Right?
Yeah.
So they're taking our knowledge, telling us it's evil, but then practicing it themselves. Yeah. And while they keep doing this stuff, and people be like, "Oh, that's the devil," they're telling you the truth right in front of your eyes and laughing at you because you think this is evil, but they're actually telling you the truth because that's how it works. That's how you skip karmic. When people say, "How do people do evil?" And it keep on. How does God allow this to happen? Because you consent to it.
Listen, okay. First of all, absolutely. I've been trying to tell people this from day one, and it's like, talking to a wall. Everything is put in your face, and what it is almost like somebody playing in your face. They do
Mm-hmm.
this. It's like if somebody sleep, you come and do like this, and you see. Oh, if
Mm-hmm.
you're under hypnosis, you want to see, make sure they still sleep. They will put it right in your
Your
face,
face. Mm-hmm.
and you will think it's just a movie. You will think it's
Mm-hmm.
just a song. You will think it's just like, it's crazy how the shift is happening in our faces, and we're watching it and still not on board with the fact that that's our shift.
Mm-hmm.
Us. Everything about this is us. Even the movies, all of the movies. I was just talking to my daughter. They wanted to watch the movie today. And my baby's upset. She is upset. She won't stop watching Frozen. I'm
Mm-hmm.
over it. And so my other daughter said, "You should watch Mulan." And I said, "That's funny," because Mulan came out around the time, again, the shift started happening and letting us know about the mother, right? Because Mulan, again, if y'all ever seen Mulan, Mulan was the female warrior who went to war in place of her father. The woman, she
Mm-hmm.
replaced the father. The patriarch was being replaced by the mother because it was time, right? But I see
Time.
now when I'm watching it, I'm seeing all kinds of shit. My kids is like, "Oh, it's just a movie," and I get that for kids, but grown-ups, hello, hello, hello. It's not just
Mm-hmm.
a movie. It's never just a movie. They
Mm-hmm.
need your consent. This to me, this is my understanding of even karma.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't think what I did was wrong, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
person that I did it to don't think it's
Don't
wrong,
even. It wasn't wrong.
then it wasn't wrong.
Yep.
And so there is no karma. My hands are clean. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
you're the weighing of the heart is weighing of your own guilt. I don't feel no guilt.
Mm-hmm.
And I've convinced you not to feel any guilt about what I've done. So there is none.
Yep. That's right.
That's why they do it in your face. They play in your
That's right.
face because
Yep.
they
And then they
have,
laugh.
and
They
like a
laughing at you.
motherfucker.
And
Right.
then when I tell this stuff to people, and when you tell this stuff to people, and your own people don't even listen to you, they laugh because
Yep.
they like we've been trying to tell them. They won't even listen to us. They don't know they don't even know who they are, so they can't even.
Man,
We're using their signs, but they don't even know their own signs because we took it from them.
not at all. Don't know
Right?
it and call it evil. Call your own symbols
It's
evil.
definitely evil.
Call your own form of connected with divinity evil. And
Yep.
it's crazy because it helps you to keep you away from growing.
Yep.
And that's so we want people to understand that, and you are right. When you tell
Hey,
your own people, they won't listen to you. But
that's
like
right.
I know right now that there's people now going and listening to the master teachers. They had to die before you
Mm-hmm.
started to even go and listen to them. See, Dr. Dilbert Blair was my first teacher.
Yeah, I love some Dr. Dell.
Me
Yeah.
too, man. Dr. Blair don't play. He's very straightforward. He don't have to.
Yep.
He don't get loud. He don't do nothing. He just give you straight facts. He
Says it in
spells shit out
love.
for you. Okay.
Yep.
And he
He
tells you go
says
and
it
do
in
your own
love.
research.
Yep.
Yes. And you guys, listen, I don't want to have to die for you to start listening. You
That's
understand?
right.
You shouldn't have to, and that's how it is. It's like you got all these teachers now. We have discussed this too, about you, even like me. Sometimes I question if I even want to do this podcast because it's like there is a overwhelming amount of information out there, but are people really going to take it in?
That's
And
right.
all I can do is do my part, which is push it out there. I'm not responsible for what you decide to take in or not take in. But I was explaining this to my sister Sunshine that we are the gatekeepers, we are the gate openers. We are haven't
Mm-hmm.
entered the age of Aquarius yet. We are entering. We are getting ready. But
Mm-hmm.
there's so much that has to go, we have to go through. There's so much that has to be cut down and destroyed.
That's right.
The foundation of this bullshit has to be destroyed. You can't build anything on this foundation. I've said it many times because if you leave the foundation of something that is old, you create a third thing. Okay, you were supposed
Mm-hmm.
to tear it all the way down, and now it's supposed to be matriarch. You got to see
Mm-hmm.
how things were supposed to run. But if you try to keep that foundation that was patriarchal, you're going to try to create something that is not even supposed to be here. And that's what people don't understand is that we have to release all of those old teachings and really, really start to go with what we can really, what we see in nature and what speaks to us. Because a lot of us
Mm-hmm.
deny things that call to us because we've been taught they were evil. So
That's right.
I just
And you know
want
what's no, yeah, that's perfect. And I was going to elaborate on some of the things you said, because what you're saying is straight facts, is that everything that they taught us is evil, it happened through Christianity, because that's where our people are stuck. Right? The Bible ain't all the way evil in a sense that it's not our word, but they took it from ours, and that there's a lot of truth in there, but there's also a lot of some falses in there too. Right?
Yeah.
And so when we even get back into you said something about, everything usually has to do with like mathematics and measuring, right? Law comes, the acronym for law is length and width, right? Because Lord, right, is ruler. What does a ruler do? Measures,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
So whenever somebody has laws, what that law does is put up parameters for you to say, you don't go there, you don't go do this, you don't go do this, right? And they've created that within this patriarchy, right? How many women have been president, Pranoya? Not that I advocate for anybody being president, but I'm just trying to show y'all a visual. How many women? All right. Who did they say in the Bible caused man to falter? Who was it? Eve, the one that gave him life?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Oh, was that who it was?
Yeah.
Right. And then even you could take that word live and turn it backwards.
Evil.
Right. And so that's what they do, is they sell you the lie. Everybody takes it hook, line, and sinker. So when the truth comes around, you'll say, fuck you, man. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yep.
And the only person that don't know who they're talking about is the one that's saying, hey, man, you don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Because that person didn't go do no damn research, hadn't looked in not one damn book.
Not one. Nothing.
Hasn't even meditated. They might pray, but I don't pray on things. I'm not a predator. I'm a meditator, but I ain't no predator. Right?
Facts.
And even praying is that of going into the closet, right? What did I say earlier? The closet, the word closet comes from the word claustrophobic, an enclosed space, which also comes from the word claustrum.
From the breast milk.
Right? Because the secret, the word secret derives from the word secrete.
Secretion.
And it's only a secret because it can't be seen with the physical eyes, but it's there. Just because you can't see it don't mean it ain't there. Right? And so the more that they pull you away from knowing you, do you know that when you don't use a body part, it atrophies? If you don't use it, if you take your arm and put it in a sling and it's a fully functioning arm, you leave it in there for 3 years, that arm will stop working. You will lose functionality of that arm. So if I keep away from you how your organs work, how your glandular functions work within the body and the brain, how your brain works, if you're not in awareness of how those things work, guess what? It atrophies over time, and you get dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber. And that's why when you become aware of something, when they say an enlightenment, right? It's an awareness. So when I go to the doctor, which I don't do anymore because I'm my own doctor, and I know how to, take care of myself, and I know how to reach the stage of looking younger, right? I don't need no doctor to give me none of that. I ain't been to the doctor for I don't know how long. I'm my own doctor. I listen to myself, and like everybody else should. And I'm not saying that people should out there to stop taking their pills and stuff, because there's protocol to get off of that stuff, and they know it. That's why it's called an addiction. You can't just take yourself off of something. You're right. There's a transition that has to happen. You can't just go from one way of eating all the way to the other, because as you get to the foods that you're supposed to be eating, it detoxifies you and starts to clean you out. And if that detoxification happens too fast, it'll kill you. So you got to wean yourself off of these things, because food is drugs. The original food is drugs. And when you're on drugs, right? Drugs are only there supposedly to help you get over the sickness and eventually get off the medication, but that ain't happening.
Nope.
That ain't happening. People are actually using the medication as a crutch to tell people that this is why I take it, so I can do this. I had my dad tell me one time that he took his blood pressure medicine so he could eat more salt. Like, what kind of damn sense does that make? How'd you end up on a medicine in the first place?
Right.
It ain't helping you do nothing. It's that you was eating something you didn't have no business eating, which caused a dis-ease in your body, an imbalance in your body. These bodies ain't meant to be sick. Go Google. Anybody out there has another phone? Go Google where did disease, or who brought disease to America? Because we didn't know nothing about disease. It'll tell you. Google, the Europeans that make Google and put all this information out there for us. They know who they are.
Yep.
And they'll flaunt it in front of you, but they brought that disease here. And then we go back to Corona. I'm all about the terrain theory. Terrain theory is changing a person's environment, which then makes them sick, as opposed to the germ. Eating the way I do and the way I am now, I haven't been sick in almost 5 years since I've changed the way I've been eating. Right. I've been around people with strep throat, children coughing in my face, get it once. Their parents got it. Hey, PJ, man, how did we get strep throat and you didn't? Oh, because I eat fruit and vegetables. No, I can't do that. All right. You don't have to. You ask me a question. But I guarantee you, if I'll be here long enough or be here longer than you will. If something doesn't, take me out unexpectedly, as far as like something that's out of my control, but what's in my control is my health and well-being. And even then, that's still under attack because we live in the world that's getting chemtrailed, that's putting chemicals in our food, that's putting chemicals in the shampoo we use and in the lotions we use. Yeah. Right? Going back to synthetic. If you look up the word synthetic means copying nature, basically. It's imitating nature. And everybody's scared to go back to nature because Uncle Sam makes me feel good. He gives me, he helps me. He puts the bag, I got all these bags. I can go out here and get this and get that and get these new J's or these new Yeezys. Man, they messing y'all, man. They messing with y'all. They using our own people to do it. And our own people know these secrets. When they get into these places of fame and fortune, it comes at a cost. And that cost is not only selling their own people out, which is really just selling themselves out because they're just being used. Like I said, they have to use our energy. They have to use our energy in order to do this. Right?
This is why I was thinking, so I had got to download this, and it's like confirmation. Thank you, Divine. I get these downloads, and everything you said was recently downloaded to me, but I had a download a while ago about why they never killed all, once they said, well, we'll free all the slaves. Why you didn't just kill all the slaves? Well, the sun, again, we're the people of the sun.
Right.
If you go to anywhere where it's not a lot of melanated people, it's also very cold. And so if there is no us, there is no sun. There is no sun. If you put on black and go outside,
you're going to get hot as hell.
But you put on white and go outside.
Yep.
It's deflecting the sun. And so they kept us here for a reason. There's a reason. And like you said, they're using our energy. And we are the true currency. We are the true currency.
Yeah.
And we're trading it for paper, for our trees to be destroyed and given to us as paper. And now we're going to go into imaginary money. Now the paper don't even exist. Now we're just going to be dealing with numbers on the screen.
Yeah, on a screen. Damn crypto. And it's got the word crypt in it. If that don't raise a red damn flag, I don't know what is. So
just like a mortgage.
Right. A mortgage, right? A family. A family means a house full of servants. Go look it up. The etymology of family means servants. All the words that we've been taught mean one thing, mean something totally different. And that's called double talk. That's how they get over on us, is that they can tell us truth in plain sight without us seeing it because they changed everything. And that's what the thing with the covering of the sun. They got chemtrails. Everybody sees those lines up there. That shit ain't natural.
Nope.
All these crisscross lines going on in the air and all this stuff, man. Come on, man.
Yeah, and they put
Bucking
it
that
in
sun
the
up.
cartoons now. Even in the
Right.
cartoons, the air's got chemtrails.
Chemtrails.
Yep.
Right. And so that's what they're doing, is they need this place as unnatural as possible because they're not able to live in a natural place. So they got to make everything synthetic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They are killing us systematically. But the return of Christ is that of the sun. Let's get back to Corona. Does everybody know what Corona means?
Oh,
can I hear? What is it, Pranaya? What is it?
Well, Corona is. Oh no! Wait a minute. You tell me. Wait a minute.
It's the sun. The corona of the sun. It's
Okay.
the crown.
The crown. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But the crown is the sun. Right.
Okay.
So the crown of thorns, the crown, the halo around the sun. Right. The sun is that of the second coming of Christ. You know why? You know why they're so scared of Christ coming back? Because that means they have to go. Because if that sun, when they talk about global warming, it's not, you got to stop taking things literal. Right? What this melanin does is protects us from UV light. UV light can't be felt until it's too late. UV light is what burns. The heat from the sun don't burn, the UV light does. So the sun's getting hotter, but it's because it's the UVs that's getting stronger, not the actual hotness, right? Because when people put suntan lotion on, that's melanin. That's literally, suntan lotion is a chemical. Well, it's not the right chemical because melanin is a chemical, but it's a synthetic chemical that mocks melanin. So people that are unmelanated can go in the sun. And if you look at, if you go put suntan lotion on and go into a black light, it looks black, right? Mm. And so this is what I'm saying is, one people are one way and the other are the other. And I I'm not, the coexisting thing, I get it. It's tough, but they knew this before we did because they're the ones that invented segregation. They know who they are. We the only people that don't know who we are, but the only people that know who they are on that side are in the know, because all the other people that are melanated are slaves just like us. They're enslaving their own people. Right? And there's a whole nother backstory of this we ain't even got into yet. We'll get into that some other time. But a lot of this stuff that's happening to us is karmic because we were the oppressor at one time.
Yep. All right. Yeah, we're gonna definitely have to get into that right there, Perry.
Yep.
We really gonna have to get into that.
Yep, because we're paying for what we created.
Mm-hmm.
So the bondage was a lesson to us. It's a learning lesson because we started dabbling in like the genetics part of things in Kemet. Don't think they wasn't doing the same thing in Kemet that we're doing now. This ain't new. There ain't nothing new under the sun, right?
Nothing new under the sun.
They've been messing with people's genetics for a long. They've been cloning. Clonase has been around for a long ass time, right? They're trying to get rid of the woman, create their own beings so they can destroy the men. So let's get away from this race thing. Let's get down to the foundation of it. The issue is between man and woman.
It says it in your Bible. It says it'll be enmity between your and theirs.
Yep.
Who's her children? Her children.
Yep. The dragon. Remember, the dragon comes to attack the woman's child, like you're talking about in Revelations. Right. Yep. And so when we get down to the foundation of it, women were here first. They were the first for Khalifa. If anybody has ever studied Khalifa, right, who was the original empress of the Americas, right? It was a tribe of women in the Amazon. We call them Amazon, right? The Amazonian women. It was a tribe full of women. They were the first. They were the first ones that were the warriors. They were the first ones, the first beings that were here. And through the woman came man. Man is basically a fallen woman. Woman is like a 3D printer. Anything that she thinks she can produce, if she's in touch with herself, if she's gone back to who she's supposed to be, done the work, got back to being natural, going back to being a child, regeneration, because the sun regenerates just like we do.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm getting younger, because I know what fasting is. I know what autophagy does. When one denies himself, what does Christ say? To pick up your cross and carry it. Not his cross, your own damn cross.
Your own.
Self-sacrifice is autophagy. It's self-eat. Autophagy means self-eating. When you fast, what happens is that the body goes and attacks all the dead cells and all the cells that don't need to be there. Yeah, you lose weight. Yeah, you get skinnier. But it's a process. It's a process that takes dying and rebirthing. What we're doing is tearing the temple down, rebuilding the temple back up. Is that what they talk about in the Bible? And also in the Bible, they say that God don't dwell in temples made by what? Human hands?
By man, that's right.
So what other temples are made that aren't made with hands? Who's the master builder? The woman. So let's get away from this. Let's get away from the black and white thing.
Body.
Because it ain't black and white. I'm just saying that because that's how everybody notices it. When we go back to the zodiac, right, the mother, her name is called Mother Zedekias. Zedekias means circle of animals. That circle is called a web, right? And square in the circle is when you put them little angles in there, and it looks like a web. And in the middle is what we call 0 point, and that's where God dwells, and that's where women get called the Black Widow, because what happens when the Black Widow mates with the man? She kills him.
Yep.
Because she don't need them. Women were once, we've talked about this, women were once able to have children without men. The only reason men exist is because of the woman's inability to get a hold of her emotions. So she needed something logical and rational to keep her from destroying. They're chaos beings.
Hey, that is the full, hold on one second. That is the full meaning of this here statue. That's where you see Kali, and then you see Shiva laying there as the husband. He is calming. He had to calm the fuck down. And that's right. Absolutely. It's the structure. She needed the structure. So she created that being for the structure so that she wouldn't get out of hand. Absolutely.
Right. I love it. But to her own demise, because then when man figured out who he was, he then had to subject the God to enslavement. He had to enslave. And what does religion do, Pranoia? What do they do to the women? I know you know. They put them under their feet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Put them under their feet. Did you? How many people out there know that melanated people could vote before any woman could, no matter what color they were? If that don't speak volumes, I don't know what does. So when we talk about the eye of Horus, right, or that eye in the middle, that's the corner. That's what we call the cornerstone. Mm-hmm. The cornerstone that was rejected is the woman. She's the master builder. Because guess what? Where's the potter's house? Where are these potteries made that we call temples, that we call the human body? The potter's house is in a kiln. When you make pottery, you build it up, and then you got to put it in the fire for it to be complete. That's the process of pregnancy. That's the hot place. That's what we call Egypt. That little place down here where the digestive juices are that heat up the food and break them down and all that stuff that we eat. That's the place of creation. So your ability to heal and your immunity lies within the same place that digestion happens. And so if you're told to eat 3 times a day, guess what doesn't get to happen?
Digestion.
Healing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the digestion gets to happen,
but the
healing doesn't, because they both lie within the same function, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's why when you start to fast, you get connection to the divine, right? Because being in, when it talks about sex and food are pretty much synonymous. They both hit the dopamine. You want more. Give me more. Give me more. It's a reward system, right? And everybody's out of control with this reward system, right? And then even in the Bibles, the prophets, what did they do in order to access the Creator? They fasted. The Daniel fast, guess what Daniel did in the Daniel fast? Omitted flesh. And his men stood there stronger than the king's men that ate the king's portion. And then they call it the Daniel fast, where it's not even really a fast, because anytime you're still eating, you're not fasting. Fasting is the absence of all food and water. True fasting. Autophagy can't be reached unless one doesn't eat. And then what did Christ do for those 40 days on that mountain with Satan when he was going to give him the whole world? Right? He said, here, all you got to do, Jesus, is bow down to me and I'll give you all this. All you got to do is take this little piece of bread. And what he said, man don't live on bread alone, right? So when I'm out there fasting and people are angry with me and, oh, you're crazy. But they worship a man that did it, and I can't do it. If I want to be like anybody, wouldn't it want to be like the person that I'm supposedly worshiping? Didn't Jesus say, do everything in my name? Which doesn't mean say, in Jesus' name, amen. It means what do things in my name means is do as I do. Because you don't know no better, follow me. He didn't want to be worshiped. How many times did Christ say he didn't want to be worshiped? Because Christ is you. You're the Christ. He always was pointing back to you.
Yep.
You can do these things.
You'll do greater things.
Greater things. So these Christians that are out here attacking me because I'm doing all these fasts don't believe in the person they think they believe in. What they're doing is living out of fear because they don't want to take their ass to hell. Because somebody told them they'd go to hell if they didn't do certain things. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But heaven and hell don't exist. They only exist within here. Because as a child in the cartoons, what do they show us? The devil on one side and the
angel on the other.
Right? And who was they trying to convince?
You.
Who made the choice?
You.
So everybody blaming everything on the devil. It ain't the devil, it's you.
Right.
I got that on my own. I come from a whole family of preachers. My granddaddy was a preacher. My great granddaddy was a preacher. My daddy is a preacher. My aunts are preachers. My uncles are bishops and ministers. And I was next in order to be a preacher. But I decided that I was going to kill that generational curse. I'm the only one in my family that is actually doing. They talk about generational curses every Sunday when I went, and ain't doing nothing. You can't break nothing if you ain't doing nothing.
Right.
Going to a building every Sunday and sitting there listening to a man tell you what you're supposed to believe ain't doing the work because he don't even know what he's talking about. Some of them do. Some of them are Masons and they were placed there in your church. And you'll never know it because they go to a place called cemetery. I mean, you know what it's called, right?
Seminary.
Yeah, I call it cemetery because that's where the dead people go. And then what they do is they go and make other dead people, and then they go fall off a cliff all by themselves. Because in the Bible, when Judgment Day came, and the person came to God and said, "I did this in your name. I did this in your name. I healed in your name." That wasn't a sinner saying that. Who you think that was?
Saint.
He said, "Depart from me. I never knew you." You know why? Because you didn't know yourself. The only way to know God is to know yourself, because God is in the inside, because it says in the scriptures that the kingdom of God is within.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, don't listen to people that say, lo here, lo there, here comes the Son of Man, because the kingdom doesn't come with observance, with the seeing of it. It happens on the inside. Baptism happens on the inside. And so as they teach our metaphorical people things that are literal, because that's what literature is. It's the letter of the law. Everybody loves Paul. What did he say? The letter of the law kills, but the spirit of the law sets free. Well, the spirit of the law is knowing what the law is actually saying on the below the surface. Because if you stay on the surface, you're shallow. You only see things for what they are. You'll see me and Pranoia and judge us by the book. You judge the book by the cover without even knowing what's in it.
Absolutely.
And so what they've done is hide the keys. I can give you a map where a treasure is, but without the key, you ain't going to find shit. But once you get that key and you know what these signs and symbols means, it puts all of it together. And baby, I've been freeing people ever since.
There you go.
I've brought more people to Jesus than any preacher has. Because I showed them. I showed them who they were. I don't want to be worshiped either. Because nobody's meant to worship anybody. And nobody's meant to be under any type of rulership. Because if you're a king or a queen of your own kingdom and you love yourself, you'll automatically do what's right. You don't need no police officer out here. We don't have to be getting beat down and shot. Because we are law unto ourselves. We make our own parameters. Law is length and width. When we don't know how to measure ourselves, that's when we give that job to somebody else who then puts us into oppression and slavery. We gave it away. But I'm getting mine back. And I don't care who gets mad at me. Because I'll be there at the end saying, hey, what happened? What happened?
That's facts. You can't even worry. You just got to keep pushing. And like you said, like, that's why we have this show, y'all. This is why, again, I invited Perry back as a permanent star seed. He'll be here once a month, and he's dropping facts, yo. Like, I know it's a lot for some to digest because, again, it's a lot that's been hidden, but hidden in plain sight from us. All I'm asking you to do is look at nature. All I'm asking you to do is do your own research and stop.
And look up the things that I talk about. Don't just take my word for it.
Absolutely.
Don't believe me. I don't want you to believe me.
Don't just read one book and think you know everything, because scientists read thousands of books and still are searching for answers. You can't read one book that was used to enslave you and think that you know everything. Because just like you said, there's some truth in there. But you got to mix the truth and the lies. You're not going to eat a shit cake if it don't look like chocolate on the outside and smell like chocolate. You ain't going to eat the shit that's inside. So we got to understand that those lies is what the truth that was in it is what pulled us close to it. But you got to let go of it. You got to really seek the full truth. And that is that ye are gods.
That's and not only God said it, Jesus said it too, because he got in trouble. Didn't he get in trouble from the Pharisees for calling himself God? Because that's blasphemy, right?
Yes.
But he said then he resorted back to the Old Testament and said, "Didn't your God of the Old Testament say that ye are gods? And the scriptures can't be broken. Go look it up."
Absolutely.
And then the crazy thing is more people believe Paul than they do Christ. People out here in the church are Paul worshipers, not Christ worshipers. Paul was a Roman, a direct enemy. He was placed in that book.
First, right?
He was placed in that book. It's literally called Romans. If anybody was our direct enemy, it was the Romans. Why do we have a book with that chapter in it? And even then, the book being that it is the temple or the layout of the body, starts in Genesis and ends in Revelations, right? Well, guess where life starts? Genesis just means genes of Isis.
Genes of Isis, yes.
Because you come from a woman, and it has to do with your genitals, right? That's the ascension process, right? And then when you get to the end, to Revelation is what? The knowledge of something. It's the apocalypse means the revealing of something.
Yep.
Marriage. When you go and marry your woman, who gets on their knee?
The man.
To the woman. Ain't the other way around.
That's right.
It's a fertility ritual. Marriage is for those who have found themselves and attracted their mate, not went out here to the club, fucked them, and got attached to them, and then got married.
Facts.
There's a lot of people out here together that don't belong together, and they know it. But because of Christianity, you can't get a divorce, so you'll end up with a person all your life that you were never supposed to be with. All based on emotion. That's why hate don't work. The law works off of emotion. Because if you get into your emotions, that means you lose your character. To stand in love and do something means you stand in your square and you're unmovable. They can't shake you. When you go to court, law is all set up. Churches and courts are the same thing. Let's get back to this marriage thing. Revelation. The church and the courts are built up like the uterus. It's the unk. You got the ovaries on this side, right? And you got the birth canal right here, and then you got the womb, right? They even messed that up and made it into a cross, right? The church is laid out like that too. You go down the aisle, you got your altar, and you got where the man sits, right? And so in the process of fertility, what has to happen first? The sperm has to go to the egg. Why do they got the bride coming to meet the groom? They got everything backwards, y'all.
We're in the upside down. I be trying to tell people we are in. If you flip half of the shit that you've learned upside down, you'll probably be 70% towards the truth. So everything they told you was a male, just make it female. And I promise you, you'll be closer than you are with what they gave you.
True.
Absolutely.
And so during this fertility rite, where the woman wearing white when the man should be wearing white, because guess what? We're told sperm is white. So why is the woman wearing it? They revolt. They think everything's all messed up and reversed, right? So the woman goes and meets the man, which is a sign of enlightenment, because when the masculine side meets the divine, what happens? The veil lifts and you kiss the bride and you become one flesh.
The veil lifts. The
veil, and that is what you call revelation.
Yes.
And what chapter does Revelation end on? 22, which is the number of a master builder, which is the woman. You can't. It's all there.
It's right there. Do the research, y'all. This is what I'm talking about. This is why oh my God. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, Perry.
I'm gonna bring my Bible next time, though, for real, because I meant to bring it this time, but I want people to bring their Bibles next time.
Bring your Bible, so you don't think we're
gonna have real church. We ain't gonna have church. What we're gonna have is just what's what we call salvation. That word salvation has the word salve in it. You know, when you go up to the altar and they put that little measly old olive oil on your forehead, that is an indication. They put it right on your pineal gland, because your pineal gland and your pituitary gland secrete hormones that mix together, the melatonin and the oxytocin, that create cerebral spinal fluid, or the chrism, or what they call the chrism, which is partial to the cerebral spinal fluid that goes down the spine, and it's supposed to come back up. And you got 33 vertebrae on your back, and that's when Christ started his journey. 33. There's 33 steps to enlightenment, they say, but there's really the highest is 66, because it has to go down and back up. That's why Christ had to go to hell to get the keys before he could come back up to the heaved up place, to heaven, to be free or to be reborn. I'm reborn. I didn't have to ask Jesus to come into my life. That's bullshit. It ain't even in the Bible. Jesus never said you had to accept me as your personal Lord and Savior in order to be saved. He said you got to go do your own damn work. Right? Even though he supposedly died from everybody's sins, he still told everybody they got to work out their salvation with fear and trembling. How many times you hear it? You got to work out your salvation in fear and trembling. All Jesus ever was an scapegoat. So people could be like, well, Jesus did this for me, so I ain't got to do it. That's very convenient. And then they ask, why did such and such die? Why did he get a disease? Why did God let this happen? Well, because he was eating damn McDonald's every damn day. Right? He was eating or doing drugs or doing this or doing that. That's why he died. God ain't had nothing to do with that, because you God. God let it happen. You're God and you let it happen. So my story, if most people don't know, is I came to this through my own illness. I had what was called normal, which is hemorrhoids. Well, hemorrhoids are a direct effect of something that's deeper. It's a byproduct of something going on in the intestines that's manifesting itself as a symptom, which a symptom is like your car light coming on. Hey, it's time to go change the oil. You might want to do something before your engine blows up. But we go to the doctor, go get some medicine that doesn't fix the problem, only masks its other problems. Right? So I didn't want to die. I gave up everything because I had a barbecue business. Right? I loved chicken wings and beer. I loved going out with my friends, but not at the expense of me dying. But the only reason I didn't want to change is because I didn't want to be not like my friends. I was willing to die to fit in. And so when this happened to me, I had to really talk to myself. I said, do I really want to die? I don't want to die. I got to do something. That means I got to be different than all the rest of these people, because what I'm doing and what they're doing is killing me. Mm-hmm. And so when I started to change the way I ate, everything came to light. In order to free the mind, I always say this, in order to free the mind, you got to free the gut. Fornication ain't just sex. When you start eating a lot, what happens to the belly?
It expands.
And you look pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
You got a baby. You got the bread in the bun. You know what they call it? A baby in the oven or whatever. But it's the same thing. A food baby. They call it a food baby, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Food and sex are synonymous. So one can be as pure as can be and never had sex with anybody and still be guilty of fornication, because guess what? Whenever you fill your belly up that full, it kills the seed. It keeps that seed from being able to rise back up to get to heaven. That's why everybody's stuck in hell, because they haven't learned how to breathe correctly, because the only way you can bring that back up is through breath work. Did you know that that people can change the way that you think and the way that you operate sheerly off of the way you breathe?
Mm.
Because what is Eve again? Let me remind y'all, what's Eve again? Breath, life, right? And I told you about the mitochondria.
Yep.
Food isn't important, because if you don't have breath, you cease to exist, period. Most people don't even use 20% of their lung capacity. They're shallow breathers. You know what shallow breathing is a symptom of? Being stuck in the sympathetic nervous system, which is the left brain. Survival is only needed in survival situations. We ain't in survival situations right now, but they got us thinking we are, because they turned everything into survival. We were content. We could go pick an orange off of a tree without having to pay for it. Right? We could have our garden. Oh, we didn't even have to have gardens. Everything was there. Everything was there. The Creator put everything here. The mother put everything here. You know why? Because the mother provides. She provided for you when you was inside the mother, and she provides for you outside of it, because you're still breathing. And so when we take electricity, if we're electric beings, you take electric wire, mm-hmm. and you run electricity through it, that wire becomes alive, right? But as soon as you take that electricity out, they call it dead. The breath is what creates the electricity. The breath is what animates us. And so we've lost what it is to know what it is to breathe properly. At the base of every disease is an emotion that suppresses the breath. Mm. The more you eat, the more you suppress your breath. And it controls your mind. Your desires control your mind. That's why David and Goliath is a picture of desire. The little Philistine boy. That's a derogatory statement. Little Philistine boy. What's he going to do? Right? The parable behind that is he picked up 5 smooth stones. Right? Those 5 smooth stones represent smell, taste, sight, right? Hearing, and touch. At the basis of all those is touch, because vibration has to touch your ears before you can hear it. Vibration has to touch your nose before you feel it. And all these things can control your world. But when David saw that Goliath, that giant, right? He didn't back down, because he ain't scared of the giant, because he knows who he is. But not only does he know who he is, he knows how to take down that giant, because he knows what this pineal gland is, right? So he takes that one stone, slings it around, and hits the giant where? Right between the eyes. Brought him down. But if you take that story literally, or the way that the preacher teaches it, he'll throw you off into darkness. And you'll think that there was a real boy out there named David who had a slingshot and killed a giant with a damn stone. The people out there in Christianity don't believe in aliens. They believe a white man's coming in the clouds on some damn chariots.
Facts.
Who's more delusional? Who is more delusional? If I was Christ, I wouldn't fucking come back. I'm actually living my life like Christ and getting persecuted by doing the same thing he did. So if he came back to the church, he'd look just like me, and he would look just like you, and he would get crucified yet again. If it was a real person, he would get crucified again, because those Pharisees are the ones sitting up in that pulpit telling you all them damn lies.
All them lies.
I could walk up in any church right now. I don't do it because I don't want to disrespect my people like that. People, like you said, people are at a certain place. But if I had my opportunity, I'd go against any preacher in the world and dominated the whole thing with the scriptures. I don't have to use any other book. I could just use the scriptures.
Man, I be telling everybody, bring your Bible. We ain't gonna even look at my Bible. We'll look in your Bible. So you don't think I made some shit up or typed shit in here, because they be changing shit. But no,
they do change it.
Yeah,
and that's the translation. Like, it's either KJV or something before the KJV, because everything after translated is all different. If you start studying words and linguistics, you'll see that they've changed things, and it don't mean the same as what they're putting it. They're watering it down. But aside from the book, all that information is inside of you. All you got to do is start operating naturally in the way you're supposed to, and you will come to light. You will come and have salvation, and you will free yourself, because nobody's coming to save you. You can only save yourself. Quit blaming stuff on the devil and do it. Do the work. Don't be mad at me. Don't be mad at whoever it is. Be mad at yourself, because you're not going and looking for the information. I had to go look for this information. I had to do the work too. I just didn't all of a sudden have all this info. Well, part of it I did, but a lot of it I had to go look for because I needed proof. Everybody needs proof. But again, what do they say in church? Faith is what?
Faith is blind. What? Blind faith?
Right. So faith is believing without seeing.
Without seeing it. Yep.
But anytime you say anything to a Christian, they need proof.
Where you get that information from? How you know?
Right. How you know? Ain't nobody seen Jesus. They only seen a portrait, an idol, right? Didn't the Bible said not to bow down to idols and to have images, because God is not a man? It didn't say it was a woman, but it did say God wasn't a man. That he shall not lie. He's not flesh and blood, or he. They got that in your mouth. It's still like I still say it just because that's how ingrained. Even though I know the truth, it's in the subconscious. The subconscious has to be. I have to repetitiously talk about this so I can change it. Because I'm sitting there telling you what this is and still saying he.
I do it too, and I try to myself, because that he has been programmed, just like you said. Yep, faith is dead without works. Absolutely, because all that praying, you could pray all day, but you better start watering that garden. You better start doing something to make sure it grows. Besides just putting your hands together.
That's right. And the other thing is that people see miracles within churches is because they're doing it. That's why it's so tricky, because it seems so real. But when you understand how the modalities of the mind work, we create our reality. Right? I told you, like, without the eyes, without the ears, without the mouth, without the nose, you cannot experience any of this. If you don't have virtual reality glasses, you can't take part in virtual reality.
Right.
So everything that we see on the outside happens on the inside. And why the truth is reversed is because if you know how your eyes work, you know that images come in upside down, and then they're turned right side up. So what is actually the illusion is that everything right side up is the lie, and everything upside down is the truth, because that's how it comes in. And that's who we call Lucifer. Lucifer is that of the light bearer. Lucifer and Satan are two different things. They're two different entities. They're not even entities. They're two different, basically, characters that are representing something within the body. The light bearer, because your pineal gland is a light receiver. And when you come into darkness, when you go into your prayer closet and shut it, and in darkness, and you get still, right? God is in stillness and in silence. Nobody can sit still for more than 10 minutes. Not even myself sometimes. Nobody can get still because we're told to be busy. You got to do this, got to do that, got to do this, got to do that. I got to go do this. And then when you go meditate and you close your eyes, not saying any words, just meditating. How many people can take their thought under subjection? What did Christ say? Take every thought captive, because thought is the enemy. The only time you can get over the enemy is take no thought. One has to rid themselves of thought to be able to commune with the divine, because God only deals in silence. God doesn't talk like this. We shouldn't be talking like this. This is mouth breathing. Mouth breathing causes you to age quicker. And like I said, the more you do something, the more you atrophy your. So as long as we keep talking, as long as we keep using these phones, they're great. It's great because it's convenient.
But it's messing up our
It's
use
messing up. That's right.
Absolutely. Yep. They make man makes things to imitate God, so that we don't use the things that God has already given us. So like you said, those cell phones, you could think about somebody and you could actually send them a message, but because now we have phones, we just pick up the phone, boom, boom, boom. And like you said, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yep. How many people out there have ever thought about somebody and saw them, or they called them, or that person called them, and you're like, man, I was just thinking about you. That ain't coincidence.
Nope.
I know y'all think it is, but it ain't.
It's not.
And the more you're able to tap into that, this whole universe is talking to you. You just don't know the language.
Yeah.
Because you got to get silent. You got to get quiet. And it talks to you in signs and symbols, because once you know yourself and you know what nature represents within yourself, like the pineal gland represents the pine cone.
Yeah.
You know why? Because they act the same way in the body as they do outside the body. So when you study nature, you're studying yourself. And when you study yourself, you're studying nature. So you get to the truth either way. But the easiest way is within, because that's where the kingdom is. I didn't say that. Christ said it in red.
Yep.
Matter of fact.
Them red letters.
In blood. Right? And so the gift that I've been given is that I'm not even mad at Christianity, because I'm a byproduct of Christianity. But what Christianity did was lay a foundation of understanding of the literal. But when I started to understand what the deeper meanings was, they said that the kingdom of heaven was like a treasure, that you had to go give up everything you have to go buy this land and dig for it. You don't find it on the surface. You got to dig. So you can't take everything on that page for face value, because it's something deeper. If anybody goes to, I think we talked about it before, Genesis 30:32 or 32:30, where it talks about Jacob wrestling the angel on Mount Peniel or Penuel, where you see God face to face, because that's where God is. When you go up to that altar for healing, where do they put the oil?
Right there.
On Ash Wednesday, where do they put the ash?
Right there.
When during Corona or during COVID, where did they point the little temperature gun?
Bang.
And if spirit is breath, then what does a mask do? Suppresses your breath, because don't forget about the mitochondria. What you're doing is they're breaking your spirit. That's a symbolism. And not only that, go look up the word hypercapnia. Hypercapnia is the overload of carbon dioxide within the body that causes respiratory issues. So the people that are going and doing what these people are telling them to do are getting sick and thinking that it's something that they're catching when they're doing it to themselves. That's how they get away. That's how they get away with this stuff, people. Yeah. It's called the art of war. They give you a choice. They say, you got this and you got that. And then they steer you in the direction that they want you to go, but you make the choice.
You make the choice. At the end of the day, you make the choice.
So if truth comes out that some of the things and behaviors that people's been participating in was wrong, can't blame anybody, because you had a man like me, a young man like me, going around telling all my family, hey, don't go do this. Hey, don't do that. I was the Moses of my family. They laughed at me when I told them the rain was coming. They laughed. I'm not saying they literally laughed, but they said, I'm a lost boy. PJ, stop going to church. I'm probably on every prayer list in Virginia. No lie.
Which one of the star seeds says, what was the scripture? Hey, Sarita. Genesis what?
Sarita, 32:30.
32:30.
the whole thing. I'm gonna bring my Bible. We're really gonna get into
We're gonna
some
get
stuff.
into it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, y'all.
But if I can, the one person actually that helped me a lot with the understanding of Scripture before I started, learning about Bobby Hemmett and C. Freeman L. and all of them was an unmelanated man by the name of Bill Donahue. I love Bill Donahue. You know why? Because he's setting people free, right? He was an old pastor that came to the same information that I did. Crazy man. He looks crazy, but we all look crazy when we don't do it. We're not falling in line with the social standard, right? When we talk crazy, when we say things that we were told were evil, we look crazy, right? But that man challenged me. He literally confirmed all the things that I had coming into my head that I didn't have evidence for. He was touching on. He taught all of the secrets of the Scriptures. And there was a part of my flesh that wanted to fight that, even when I knew the truth, to the point where I had to continuously tell myself that ain't true. Like it's repetition. Memory works on repetition.
Yep.
In order to change something, you have to repeatedly do it or it won't stick. I mean, you use flashcards in school, right? Because it's repetition. That's how you program the subconscious mind.
Yep.
So a man thinketh, he is. Mm-hmm. Whatever you think you are, that's what you are.
Yeah, that's him right there. Donahue.
Nah, that's not Bill Donahue. It's another. He looks different than that. Go to Bill Donahue. What's one of the things he has? YouTube might be a better one to go look at, but it's called Hidden. Dang, I'm having a brain fart right now because I'm getting all excited. I'll just send you the information. But
okay.
He teaches all the secrets of the Scriptures and what things actually mean. Right? He puts it into perspective. And see, the reason why Jesus spoke in parables is because people couldn't understand the higher things. So he had to make things into material like I'm able to do. I'm able to make things plain for people so they can see it. I bring it down from up here to down here so people are able to go up here. Right? That's what true priests do. The priests were the true psychologists because they showed people who and where they fit into the universe. Because each and every one of us, that's him right there.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
So
Bill Donahue. I gotta look him up. Mm-hmm.
And so what's funny is that, these people talk about the Edomite, because I studied Torah too. Not only was I in Christianity, my process of my transformation, even in health, was pretty much parallel with my experience in religion. So as I came out of church, I got into basically another religion, but that religion got me out of church, but I started studying Torah, which is the first 5 books of the Bible, right? And as I started to read Torah, I started to make connections. And as I made those connections, things started to click for me, right? Because the Christian church tells you the Old Testament's done away with because they don't want you reading that. There's too much truth in the Old Testament. They want you back into the New Testament, right? And so when they do that, they separate you from the deeper meanings of things. And that's the name of it, hidden meanings. His thing is called hidden meanings. There we go. Thank you, Mom. Oh, you call her Mom. Thank you, Mom. But she's my baby out here struggling. I gotta get. But yeah, so these hidden meanings are things that we used to know. They're the key. And when you take away the key, you take away the understanding, right? And what does Scripture say? Without basically knowledge, of people perish. Without knowledge, people perish. But people perish without action of the knowledge. It's one thing to know something, but that knowledge is only there to show you how to do something, right?
Yep.
And so that's what I always say. It's useless just to know something. Me knowing something don't do nothing. I might be able to help a few people here and there, but how credible am I if I'm telling you how to do something or telling you this is the way something is and I'm not practicing it myself? And not only, I don't have to say a word. People can look at me and tell that I'm doing something different. They're like, PJ, what's going on, man? You're looking good. You're shining out there, man. You glowing. What was I before?
Right.
I was going to church and doing all those things. Why do I look different now?
Right.
And when they talk about Christ, they talk about what? A Christ mind. That's
Mm-hmm.
what it is. It's a consciousness, right? And when that light turns on, it's called an epiphany. Most people don't even know what epiphany means. They think epiphany means when the light turns on up there. It does mean that, but the true definition of epiphany is the manifestation of Christ, because Christ resides within you. It's a substance, not a man. These men that they made into characters are just characters in a story that are explaining something deeper, like a parable.
Yes.
Because people that don't understand things on a higher level need something more dense.
Absolutely.
In order to be able to palate it. And so that's where I come in, and I'm able to bring things from up here that are their spirit, that are hard to see, bring it back down closer to the ground so people can chew on it and eat it and actually feel it and touch it. And because we're a people, we learn by seeing. We're a visual people. When we used to share knowledge, it was knowledge of, we never wrote down things. We shared it in story.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
That's why we're rappers. That's why we're singers, right? We're a metaphorical people. We are never a literal people, right? And so if I say, today I was on a Prenora Starsheet show, and we was on there just shooting the bull, and then PJ spilled the beans. Can you imagine somebody 2,000 years from now reading that without the knowledge of what shooting the bull is and spilling the beans is?
Literally believing that we shot a bull
and spilled beans.
And we walking around and they telling that story. And it makes no freaking sense because
right.
It has nothing to do with the real thing that actually happened. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep. So that's why there's no contradictions in the scriptures, because if one knows what's being said, they know there's no contradiction. But anybody that believes it for face value gets thrown into darkness because they haven't done the work. One only gets to knowledge and to heaven if they do the work. You don't come to knowledge by sitting on your ass and not doing anything. And nobody's doing that anyway. Everybody's busy. Everybody got to go to work. Everybody's got to be somewhere. Everybody's got children. They got basketball games. They got football games. They got to eat. Mama got to come home and do this, that, and the other. No wonder we're wore down. They're wearing us out. We ain't supposed to be that busy.
Right.
We're supposed to be content. We're supposed to be being. The very word of the word that describes God, which is Hawa, means to be or to become. To be present is to be. Ain't nobody present right now. Anybody doing anything ain't present. The only time present happens is when you're doing this. Not even, you mean just closing your eyes. You don't have to sit Indian style or any of that. You just need to shut your eyes, just don't say anything, and sit in the stillness. And you'll see these thoughts start coming in. That's what they call the devil. And thoughts start coming in to get you off of getting deeper into yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And what you do is take those thoughts and you observe them and you say, I'm not that, and push it away until you have no thoughts. Every thought that comes in, you look at it, observe it, and be like, it's just a thought. Let it go. Just like I actually sometimes visualize like windows open up on like tabs open on a computer screen. They're like thoughts, and I go through and I X them out. I'll look at the page that comes up and I'll X it out. And then after I get tired of doing that, Xing everything out, the thoughts stop coming in, and then I can just be at one with the divine. And she speaks. I've heard her. I've heard her voice. I don't care if anybody believes me or not, but I'm a byproduct of that. And people see me and they hear me talk. They say, something's different about you. And there's countless other people out there just like me doing the same thing I am right now. Trying to free people, because people ain't in the business of freeing nobody these days. But you got to free yourself first. Can't free nobody else. You can't free yourself, because when people are always watching you, whether you realize it or not. And them angels, they say, those angels or those angles of light that's always recording is these eyes. Because the mind always keeps record. Your mind keeps record. My mind keeps record. And there's a collective mind. That's why that we can all tap into the same thing. Right? And so when we get to that place of silence, when we get to that place, what they call delta, which is a frequency, and it's a healing frequency. And so that same modality that lies within the pineal gland is also the one that heals. That's why Jesus can heal the sick and the lame. It says, healer, heal thyself. Right? Jesus wasn't scared to go up nobody that had leprosy and was scared to get it. You know why? Because he understood, or you know what I'm saying. I'm trying to talk the lingo here. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
And so once you understand who Christ really is and that Christ dwells within you, the Son, S-U-N, of God, being the great mother, because everybody comes to her through the portal, right? You tap in, you start healing. I healed myself of possibly having cancer. I had probably 4 or 5 precancerous polyps in my colon. And they told me if I would have ignored them and not came in, that it wouldn't have been good for me. But when I started to eat correctly, like I said, I was a barbecue man.
Right.
Flesh was my business. My last name is Slaughter, brothers and sisters. My last name is Slaughter. Wow. And it's a slave-given name. It's not even my real last name. I don't even know what my last name is. But I do know that name was given to me for a reason. And I could put my story in the Bible, and everybody can do that when they know themselves, because the Bible is about you. But everybody knows, most people know about the story of Isaac and Abraham and how he was going to go slaughter him, right? It was the only child that him and Sarah had together. You know what? Did you know what Isaac means? One who laughs, because Sarah laughed at God when he told her that she was going to have a child at 70 years old.
Mm-hmm. So
the S represents the Kundalini. Yeah. When you go look up the word Mary, what Mary means, it means rebellion. Rebellion is that destroys social structures, that destroys the illusion. That's what that feminine energy does. She's rebellious because she comes to bring order. She comes to bring justice. In Kemet, the woman made the rules. The man enforced them. Anytime you see the woman, she's behind the man with her hand to the back, because she's the one that ruled. She's the one that ruled. He listened to her. He enforced it. She's smart. She's a God. She observes. That's what God does. God observes. And she controls. Right? Even on a chess game. I was learning how to play chess today. And even when we're learning chess, the queen is the most powerful piece on that board. Why is that? Why is that? And so
that's the hidden God.
That's right.
And even in Christianity, you got the mother. I mean, you got the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. She's always hidden, but in plain sight, right there. You know, there can't be a son there can't be a father and a son and no mother.
Right. And they talk the spirit up to being the female mostly, but spirit is what literally keeps you on this plane. You cannot be here unless you're breathing. Your mama breathed for you when you were in her stomach, and she breathes for you when you're out. You are your mother. Look this stuff up. They are starting to hide stuff, but this stuff is still available. You can go look up, what do embryos start out as during pregnancy? Female. So how in the hell did God take a rib from a man to create woman why are we coming in as women then?
Right.
That's what they don't expect us to go look for. Right? Yeah. Why does Eve's name in Hebrew sound and is almost spelled the same? And it literally means the same. So I know we probably have, I don't know, we've been on here for a long time.
We're going.
All I gotta say is what you're doing and what you're going to find out is that you abandoned your mother. You bit the hand that fed you. And you went for the person who couldn't, which is the father. The father can't breastfeed you. The father didn't build you in his stomach. The father did not breastfeed you. The father was only co-creator. The creation happened within the woman. This is all common sense. It's all observable. People out here having babies every day. The truth is in front of them every day. And so that's why I'm bold in what I talk about. That's why I know I'm standing on truth. And when people come at me and be like, oh, you're going to go to hell. Oh, he's doing the devil's work. I laugh. And I say, brother, sister, look inside yourself like Christ told you to do. If you want to believe in a man named Christ, at least do what he tells you to do, because if you do what he tells you to do, you'll come to the conclusions I did. Because what he's saying in those scriptures ain't wrong. It's just how it's perceived. But if you actually do what Christ did, you'll actually come out on top. That's what's crazy about this Bible. But nobody does what Christ does. They do what Paul does, though. I hear more about Paul than I ever do about Jesus. But Paul said this. Well, I thought you worshiped Jesus. No, Paul said this. Paul wasn't even around when Christ was around. He was not even a disciple. And they took Peter out of the Bible, and Peter's writings had all the truth in it. You ever heard the term, they robbed Peter to pay Paul?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
that's what that is. Right? Right?
Yep.
There's a whole book out there, that Peter wrote. Peter, in literal terms, was the first pope. Christ built his church on the rock, Peter, Kepha. My name's Peri, which means Peter. All right? What people don't know is Christ and Peter were the same person. You know why? Because it's astrology. Jesus is Zeus. Peter is Jupiter. The Jew Peter. He's a Jew. In Roman mythology, Zeus and Jupiter are the same deity. Zeus Pater. Nobody knows that because ain't nobody looking. So Christ building his church on the rock, Peter is the pineal gland, because what do we call our pineal down there? Peter. You little Peter, right? Right?
Yep.
Right. And then when it gets aroused, they say it's hard as a what?
A rock. Hard as a rock.
It's all in the lingo, people. We are.
Right in our face.
And so back to, I just want to just lay this little finishing touch. So me coming from death to life, that's what I say. I went from slaughter to laughter, because when my Kundalini rose, the S went away. And when you take S off of slaughter, you're left with
laughter.
And then God replaced Isaac on the altar with a ram stuck in the thicket. And that is a picture of enlightenment, because RAM means random access memory. Aries. That's where enlightenment happens, right here, when the light comes on. Right? That's when the epiphany happens. Epiphany, if you go look up the etymology of epiphany, it means the manifestation of Christ, which is that who comes to know who he is. That's why Christ said, "Who do you say I am?" You are Christ. I am. I am is you.
I am.
Jesus, J is only 500 years old, roughly. And a J ain't a J sound. What is it in Spanish?
Oh. Right.
So if you do, which is in every word there's an H. It's the eighth letter of the word, of the eighth,
Of the alphabet.
The eighth, yeah, which is infinity. That's your breath, right? And so everything goes back to the breath. But with that H, whenever you say J or Panoia, it all has an H in it. But when you say Jesus and replace that J with a H, what do you get?
Jesus.
No, just say it like you say Jesus with an H. He's us.
Jesus.
He's us.
He's us.
He's us.
Jesus
he is us.
We are Christ.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the church is your body. You are the temple of Christ that houses the body of Christ. So any abominations that you put in your body is where God dwells. So if you put abominations in your temple, God flees from that temple. And then you forget who you are. But when you start going back to tearing down that old temple that was diseased and abominable and build it back up, you become God and you become aware. Self-awareness is what God is. When Eve ate that apple, what happened to them? They became aware.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And God punished them
for becoming like
him. And he said that we were him in the few chapters later. So that's why you can't take this book literal. It will throw you into darkness because they got you thinking that Eve fucked up everything because she made Adam eat a damn apple that enlightened them. And God got mad at them because they were just trying to be like him. Who ain't trying to be like, anybody would be dumb if they weren't trying to be like God. Everybody else trying to be out here trying to be like LeBron or Kobe but nobody trying to be like God because nobody can be God. They think God is distant. They think he's off this, like I said, a white man. That's what we were taught. Gray hair white man with a beard throwing lightning bolts at people, waiting to fuck somebody up. Just waiting. That's what Satan does. That's what Satan does. That's Saturn for you. If you study astrology, you know Saturn is a disciplinary.
Absolutely. That's the father.
That's the father. And y'all getting disciplined, all right.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where you're going to die, man. I was like, I'm out here, like when I do these shows and I get this passionate, it's because I love y'all, man. I really do. I don't even know how, I might not know what you look like, but you are nature. You are a part of me. We are all one. When I say we're all one under the sun. Anybody that can't stand under the sun don't belong here. The sun is that purifies things. The sun is what lets us know what's natural and unnatural. If you leave a piece of electronic outside in the heat, what happens?
Damaged. You can't use it no more.
Nope.
Overheat.
Yep. Mm-hmm. You put anything unnatural in the heat, eventually it's going to melt it or mess it up, depending on how hot it is. But the sun is what they call the great purifier, because the second coming of Christ frees the children because we have melanin. And as that UV index gets hotter and hotter, guess who gets saved? The mama's coming. Like when they say the great mother's coming back, she is the sun. I'm telling y'all, and y'all gonna find this out one day.
They're gonna find out in May when we come back for the mother show. We're gonna do a whole show, you guys, on the mother, because like Peri, the information you drop is so necessary. And these are downloads I received. This is so much confirmation that's come through tonight. We could go on and on for hours, y'all. That's why Peri will be back once a month. Every month, he got gems to drop. So make sure y'all tapping in every month. The third Sunday of every month, Peri will join us here on Pornoia Starseed Podcast.
Bring your Bibles.
Yep, bring your Bibles, and bring your open mind. Bring your open mind.
Yep.
Anything you'd like to add before we wrap up tonight?
I think I'm good. I'm really grateful to be able to do this. What makes me happy is building with my people in general, but especially with my people. You know what I'm saying? Because I love us. Everybody else can love who they are. The Jews can love who they are. The so-called white people can love who they are. But as soon as we start to love who we are, there's a problem with it.
Man,
we can't, and we have a problem with it.
I put a comment, and I had heard it, and I can't remember where I heard it, but it's true that they don't fear our violence; they fear our love for each other, and our love, just us coming together, because that's what's going to set us free. It's our love for each other and listening to each other and actually respecting each other enough to know that this Black man could actually give you truth. You don't have to listen hear it from a white mouth in order for it to be truth. And that's the thing we have to get past, that programming of what we've had. We've always been programmed to see this white male as our savior. And you have to reprogram yourself to understand that, you are your own savior. You come directly from the divine. Yes, I'm so happy you came into Octavia. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Sarita. Thank you, everybody who came in the building tonight. It's been a really dope. Perry, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem.
A really dope show. I knew you was gonna drop gems. I knew it. Shout out Sunshine. Yes, everybody.
What's up, Sunshine?
Anthony and dysfunctionalism. Who else I seen in the building? We've had so many people come through tonight, and just thank you again for the knowledge you've brought to us. I hope you guys already got your Bibles out. Again, it's every third Sunday of the month. We will have Perry here in the building, the Sun Chaser. We don't know where you're gonna be at next. By next Sunday, by the next third Sunday, he's gonna be on top of the damn sun, y'all. He's gonna be reporting live directly from the sun. It is Perry.
Yeah.
We try to figure out, be like, you know what? It's that melanin. It's that
melanin. It's connecting us all.
Absolutely.
But before we go, I want to thank you, Panoya, for allowing this to take place, for creating this platform and doing everything you do to get people together and build, because that's what it takes. And it's going to take women like you, the gods, the true gods, to help get this world back to where it is. Because I always say, woman will save the world, because they have to, because life comes through woman. If woman ceases to live, all of existence ceases to live. Absolutely. And they're attacking our women. And they're trying to take the birthing process out of the woman and put it into a damn incubator.
Y'all better pay attention. Stop being comfortable. He ain't nothing but truth. That ain't nothing but some truth.
So tell your mama you love her. Whoever's out there, wherever you are, you go tell your mama you love her and that you're sorry for not giving her the respect that she needed, because you didn't know who she actually was. But you know who she is now. And you go thank her, and you go give her a big hug and a kiss, because you wouldn't be breathing right now if it wasn't for her.
It was not for the mother.
Physically or spiritually. You wouldn't even be here. Absolutely. So don't wait till Mother's Day. Every day is Mother's Day.
Say it again, Perry.
Every day is Mother's Day.
Absolutely. Every day is Mother's Day. Don't wait. You guys, the Mother Show is coming around Mother's Day this year, but you know what? Tap in again every third Sunday of the month. Perry will be back with us. You guys, I will be back here on my birthday. Hey, my birthday's on Thursday. I will be back. Pronoia Starseed will be back on Thursday. So catch me then. Hit the notification bell on YouTube so you know when we are here. Thank you all for tapping in tonight. It's been amazing. Look at this, 2 hours and 48 minutes. Perry, bombs out here. We're going to make some clips tonight. I got to clip it. You got some gems tonight. So we have to share that. For those who weren't able to make it into the building, I'm sure they'll be coming back in swarms to hear this, because again, this is a message you guys have to hear. The mother frequency has come through so many of us. We've been sitting here to, like, it's a foreshadowing and it's a warning so that you are ready. Because if you're not with it, it's not about if you want to or not. That choice is going to be gone. The choice is still there. You're still able to teeter-totter. But like Perry said, this is something that needs to be known. So thank you again, Perry, for bringing so much light to this podcast. I love it. I love having the master on Pronoia Starseed. So thank you. Thank you, Starseed. It's been a wonderful night. We're going to go out with telepathy, because you know what? We were talking about that. Tonight we're talking about how we use our telepathy. And of course, shout out to the girl, Tony Hickman, who will be with us next week. Yes.
Tony.
Shout out to Tony doing big things. And shout out to all of you, Starseeds. You know that Pronoia means that the universe is always conspiring for you, no matter what it may seem to be going on in this 3D world. Know that the universe is working for you. Have a great evening. Have a great Sunday and a great Monday. Peace, y'all.
Peace.
Everything's a vibe. Like This is science. Everything's got its own frequency. We know that energy is neither created or destroyed, it's merely transferred or transformed. When we speak in energy. I don't even think people pay attention half the time in conversation when I say, I feel you, I feel you, I feel you.
You said I read your mind the other day, but baby, we are just connected deeply in another way. That telepathy connection, energy that's manifested through that melanin, electric currents traveling kinetic. What you thinking? Call my mama. But my mama calling me. Coincidence, no higher common sense. I call it ESP. We are magic while this world's unraveling. 5G cannot limit our abilities from traveling. See, I'm on another level, dirty digging. Homie, get the shovel. I'm a rebel in this motherfucker, dancing with these demons. Got them screaming. This world is planting fear inside us. Clearly, I'm just over all the brainwashing. Time to wash your brain of all the pain, of all the stress, all the lies you told yourself. Open your eyes and realize you're a diamond in the rock. Don't let them tell you what you're not. It's time to show the world all this magic that we got with telepathy.
So hear me clearly. For me, language is liberation. The words that we have, they define and describe the very things that free our mind, but only when we choose with intention and pay attention to the frequency of the words that we use to construct our realities. Who do you say that you are? I am. I am. Those two words alone are the very beginning to a powerful sequence of awakening yourself to who and all that you are, have been and will be. We talk in frequency.
Clouded visions, poison minds, can't see clear enough. The world full of interference, so God ain't hearing us. My spouse miles away, can't even take a walk in public. Coronavirus got us locked away like lab subjects. Close your eyes and you can feel the pain, we all connected. Empath, so I sense when every soul's ejected. A mystic, magical, way beyond simplistic. 5G blocking my chi, keeping our signals twisted. Communicate with my mind, mental telepathy. Into a nature, so we speak on different frequencies. My third, I watch, the other two never truly see. The world is an illusion shrouded in secrecy. A king by birthright, a god at first sight. Divine shine bright, blind the wicked at first light. Open your heart chakra and let these words shock you. We telepathic, use your magic like a witch doctor.
Kemetic or ancient Egyptian words of power that speaks to the soul. I command your soul to listen. Nuktachaz un mesura aritun ak em ta tema'u. Nuktachaz un mesura aritun ak em ta tema'u. Nuktachaz un mesura aritun ak em ta tema'u. The chaz un mesura aritun ak im ta tema'u.
I am intentional. I am the sun. I am original. I am the one.
Let's create a universe, weathering the Saturn. I'm the sun, you the moon, and the light reflects, complementing each other, that makes us just Energy shared between us is so phenomenal. Astrological thinking on the same thought pattern. Let's create a universe where the rings of Saturn. Our love goes deeper than the meanings, feelings, healings. Coasting on the wings of my eye. You're the air that I breathe. Goddess of my dreams. Put you on a pedestal, place the one above you. Got you going in circles, showing my love Jones. Putting me in a zone, making this house a home. How long will it take for you to realize? Open up your third eye. Enoch is just God in the physical. Queen, I'm just a man. I need you to understand that I'm God in the physical. I'm the sun, you the moon, and the light reflects.